All right. Welcome. I recorded this a while ago. I've been wanting to do this for a while on intros. So yeah, welcome to Joshua Kemble's live stream, episode 275. We are ready to rock and roll and do some art, work on some comics. And today, I'm planning on working on Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Mary Browning. Book I'm doing for Turner Publishing. What do you guys think of this? I think it's pretty amazing to have like a little intro song. So anyhow, today we're gonna have like a really interesting day because I'm planning on working on my comic, Not Death But Love, Strange Supernatural Story of Witches of Mary Browning. I'm planning on after that heading up to Huntington Beach, kind of meet up with a friend of the show, Paul Pate, and as well as Julu Han. And I am freshly rested and ready to rock and roll and work on some comics. But anyhow, let's go ahead and pause that music. Oh wait, actually let's keep the music going because I think it'll be a good way to kind of finish my stuff. So, if you're curious who I am, I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been an art director for 8 years. I've been a graphic designer and illustrator for about 20 years. And when I'm not working on graphic design and illustration, I'm working on graphic novels like Two Stories, which is my graphic novel that tries to destigmatize hard conversations about mental illness. And also my book, Jacob's Apartment, which is a slice of life coming of age story about it's basically like a youth romance that is similar to if you took Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, put it in a blender, Ghost World, you would have the feeling and the flavor of Jacob's Apartment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our intro. Let me know what you think of that cheesiness of having a nice little intro song. I feel like you need an intro song. I feel like that's one thing back when Kevin and I used to do Big Illustration Party Time. One of the things that was great about Big Illustration Party Time is him and I had worked on an intro. This is a podcast we used to do back in the day where, you know, it would have some rock and roll at the beginning. It had my wife translating what we were saying into Japanese. It was kind of amazing. Great little like pump me up, pick me up kind of intro. And so I've been wanting to do that on these live streams for a while, and hopefully that'll work. So I'm going to use that from now on, I think, now that I can actually hear my own audio and see if like it's getting blown out by the music, which prior to having a decent mic, I couldn't do. So today we're going to get into the thick of more roughs. We finished here. Let me go ahead and pull up our art stuff. So we finished last time. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. I'm out of control this morning, you guys. We finished the okay, let's find it. There it is. Okay. So we finished working on the last rough. Let me go ahead and pull that up so you guys can see it. And we ended up finishing that on Thursday, and I was planning on streaming all day because I had Friday off. And what I ended up finding out, and this is something we can kind of get into, is that I was just completely exhausted. Like I was kind of burning the candle on both ends and just kind of doing too much comics. This is a problem I will have occasionally, is like just kind of working on way too many, like going a little too hard on the book, which I kind of need to do because of a deadline. So this is the thumbnail and rough that we finished on Thursday on Artcasters. But what I end up doing sometimes is just going a little too hard, starting to get like a little burnt out, like I hate comics kind of feeling. You'll notice my last two like vlogs were kind of all themed around like kind of disliking comics and the process of comics. And to be honest, some of it's just that I was working some really weird hours and pushing it a little too hard. And so yesterday, rather than live streaming all day and working on comics all day, What I chose to do instead was like rest, catch up on sleep, get some basic chores done around the house. And I ended up playing a couple of games of Risk and just kind of like laying low. And I even had a michelada. Like that's what I did yesterday. So I'm an irresponsible cartoonist for not working yesterday, but we're going to catch up for that today. And then I plan on live streaming. I think I'll live stream until about 11 or 12, and that's when I should probably head out to go meet up with friend of the show, Paul Pate, who's in California this morning. So I hope Paul is doing well in California. I hope his flight went well. And welcome to California, Paul. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger as a governor. Yeah, has your state ever had a governor? I don't think so. Only California, you guys. Um, would we have, you know, the man who knows what is best in life in the governorship? So okay, so what I have right now is a rough template for page 78 open, and anybody who's been following this live stream would look at this and be like, wait a minute, but that's the rough for page 76. Aha, yes it is. So this is how I'm going to just do live streams from now on. You might be thinking this, but aha, you are wrong, sir. You are wrong. No, anyhow, so you might be kind of curious why I have this pulled up. It's because I'm working on an even page. And so what I do when I'm doing my roughs is I pull up the template that I already have set up for my evens, and I have a template for my odds. And all that means is that on the even pages, the bleed is on the left, because all of my even pages are going to be on the left. All my odd pages are going to be on the right. And then my template for my pages that are right facing will have bleed on the right. And then if somebody's watching and they're like, what's a bleed? Bleed is when you are doing a book and you're setting things up, especially if you want anything that's full bleed, which frankly, I haven't done anything like that, anything full bleed yet. But it's basically the extra edge of the paper that allows the printer to kind of cut inside of your artwork. And so usually standard practice is going to be about 1/4 of an inch bleed on most books, which is 0.125 added to each side of the book. But the thing is, if you're working on a spread, you have that 0.125 with extra on all the edges except for the spine. The spine doesn't have bleed, which makes a lot of sense. Kind of. It might make sense to you. I don't know. So anyhow, today I'm excited. We're going to get into a little bit more of the book. What we're seeing right now, man, I wish that were it, but no, we have a lot of work cut out to do. I might have to kind of get rid of some extra stuff that I have on these. I have a lot of like extra little layers and stuff like that, and a lot of them are references for pages that we are no longer working on. So what I'm probably going to do is go through here and delete out everything except, the final pages. So there's a couple things other than the basic. Did I say final pages? Other than the layers that we're going to need to kind of work on this thumbnail. And we'll read through the script too. I kind of did a recap on the last live stream of where we're at in the story, so I don't want to kind of go through and tread the entire story. But as usual, before we get into like our lists and our thumbnails and stuff like that, I will recap a little bit of the story just to get my headspace right before we start the drawing part of things. So what we're going to be working on today is the roughs, or the iterations of an idea. This is like a huge part of the process of making comics and illustrations, honestly, that are effective, is starting with roughs. Like, you don't want to commit to final artwork that's going to take you hours and hours and hours when you may actually have not really worked out your layout, or you might have some compositional concerns or lighting concerns that you didn't really think about. A rough is basically there to allow you to think about these things before you commit full time to a page. It also allows you to kind of work out sequential details. So it's almost like making storyboards for your own work. You're kind of setting up a rough path of where you want to go. Man, I'm really digging this theme. So I'm pumped about it. We're gonna listen to it one more time just for fun, okay? So if you're tuning in, like, just let's hear this music one more time, because I liked this little track that I laid out. I was originally going to use it for Artcasters, but I'm going to be using this for my own stream and my own evil purposes. Isn't that exciting? I think that's extremely exciting. Okay, well, we just listened to the very end of it, because the downside of the loop, like the music feature. Okay, I think this will start it over again. Yeah, there it is. The downside of the loop and the music playing on StreamYard is that you'll kind of have, see what I mean? That kind of has a good up tempo, right? It's gonna get people in the mood for some rock and roll. So I'll probably have some more engagement at the very beginning of my streams, and then as the streams go, everybody will be like, this is actually pretty boring. But, I don't know. I feel like bringing a little energy to it is not a bad route. Anyhow, so the problem with StreamYard's music thing, though, is that it's kind of, I guess, a benefit and a negative. Like, if you were reviewing music, it would be really helpful. It like, if you pause a song that you have in your like playlist or whatever, it's gonna start it again from wherever you paused it, which is a problem if you want it to just like start from the beginning every time. So to have it reload, you have to like play a different song and then go back to that song. Anyhow, fun stuff. I know that's very interesting for you guys. For anybody who's tuning into the stream for the first time, down here is the section of the script that we're going to be working from. Right over here is the drawing, basically my Photoshop that which I'm using Photoshop to execute the entirety of this comic, which is unusual for me. 2 stories was done all traditionally hand done, from like lettering to layout to art, and like everything was hand done. Jacob's apartment is kind of a mix where it's like everything's hand inked and traditionally inked, but the lettering and the colors were what do you call it? Digital. You can tell it's a morning stream because I'm running out, like, words like digital are escaping my grasp, and these are not hard words. And then basically this book, I'm doing everything digitally. I'm doing nothing traditionally, which is, I would say it's like this really big step, but like it's not a really far throw from like the sorts of things that that I do for, my day job that I've done professionally as an illustrator. I've always been kind of a fan of alternating between all these things. All right, we got Christopher Runciman saying, "Look at this cool cat." That's right. Or I should say, how about cool dog? I don't do cats. I'm allergic to them. Christopher said, "Great opening piece." That's even better. And then Philip Chandler is here saying, "Good morning." And then Christopher, very rightly, I'm going to highlight this statement because I think this is great. He said, "Hit like, you beautiful lurkers." That's right. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. Philip said, "An early stream for Josh. This is an unusual time." Yeah, part of why I'm doing an early stream today is I am not a morning person, but I'm meeting up with Mr. Lujan and Mr. Pate in Huntington later today. So in the afternoon. And so I want to get some work done before I go so I can justify my existence when I hang out with these brilliant artists. I can't imagine showing up to a hangout with Paul Pate and Jim Lujan where I'm not working on my book that day, and we're all making the go arounds talking about our stuff. This is one of the benefits of an art community. And Jim would probably be the first to attest to this, but part of like what was great about when Jim would have these meetups, and this whole art community that was off stream and offline, we just physically meet up. Which, God, think about those times like where you actually physically meet up with artists. Um, but anyhow, one of the things that was great and beneficial about that is you have like a support structure, so that's huge. Because as artists, especially in our little caves, our caves of ideas that we can all get stuck in, we need support. We need like people who are in the trenches to talk to. But not only that, there's also this thing, and Jim just joined us in the chat. So, but there's also this benefit of feeling like a one-upsmanship, and not in like a negative competitive way, but it's like, for me, like, I love being friends with Jim and Gary, and Scott and Corey and all these people, and part of one of the benefits of being friends with them too is when I see Jim talking about his movie, I get like energy and I get juiced up to like work on my own stuff. And it's like there is this kind of unspoken, uh I think, a good pressure to kind of show up with something. Like, I don't want to show up at the table with nothing. And you know what's funny is Paul even talked about this. um Nice, Jim said, getting ready to get my pate on. Nice. I'll be leaving here around like 11ish, so I'm gonna stream probably till about 11 or 12, and then at that point I'll head out to HB. After I'll of course probably shower because I'm a stinky bastard today. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting up with you guys. It'll be fun. I think we're doing like a microbrewery too, which I'm excited about, so that'll be fun. And also, just again, this is nerdy, but Paul Pate, if you're watching this, I'm bringing these, right, and I better get them signed. Okay, I'm bringing these brilliant books. You best be signing these books. My friend Jim's gonna talk to you. Jim's gonna be like, "It'd be a shame, Paul, if you don't sign your books. It'd be a shame to see what happens if you don't sign your books." But yeah, I'm excited about seeing Paul. He's one of my favorite people. I like our community. I don't kid about like liking our little Artcasters community. I feel like there is an Artcasters, a thriving, tiny little indie scene that we have, and I feel like it's the best art scene online, and Paul is a part of that. So it's going to be really exciting to see him. He's usually on the other side of the country. So, okay, enough nerding out about us all meeting up. Nice. Oh, Christopher said, I was about to stream randomly this morning also until I saw this cool dog was on. Well, hey, Christopher, you are more than welcome to join. Although I won't be super conversational with other people, probably with what I'm working on right now, because I'm having to work out a rough and a thumbnail. So I don't know how talkative I'll be, but at the same time, if you want to hop on, I can send you a link. And then Christopher ominously said, Jim, did you check your mail yet? Be careful, Jim. I don't know what's in the mail. That sounds a little sketchy. I'm not trying to imply that Christopher Runciman is the Unabomber. I'm just saying you never know. You never know with these crazy cartoonists. I mean, okay. So, all right. Oh, Jim Lujan said, join, Chris, join. It'll be a first. Okay, cool. I'm going to invite Chris on. Jim, I don't know if you're already heading out to hang with the with Mr. Pate, to be the first to confront Paul and say, Paul, put on some pants, my dude. But But if you want an invite too, you're more than welcome to hop on. I just have to find the thing. All right, Mr. Christopher, I have sent you a link to the stream, and that is on Facebook. So you've got a link, sir. You have a link, and you have a link. Everyone gets a link. Nice. Jim coined it as the Runza Bomber. Nice. Jim said he's getting ready to head out. Awesome. Yeah, because that's a bit of a drive for you too, Jim. You kept kind of mentioning the drive for me, and I was like, hey, HP is a drive for all of us, man. Okay. Now, all of this nonsense, all of this intro music excitement, and we haven't gotten any comicking done. So there's a bunch of references. This is a historical graphic novel that I'm working on. So and we're changing locations. And the location on this one is actually going to be a crazy awesome Victorian era theater. And in the next few pages, there's going to be things like crowd scenes and stuff like that. I need to think of a costume change for Elizabeth because they're going to be going to a theater, a theatre, as they call it. And also, like, there's going to be some other stuff. Like, there's I just almost said musician, but a magician who is from that time era who's going to enter into the plot of the story, which is exciting because who doesn't like a Victorian era story with a magician? That's going to be badass. So the magician's name is Bosco. He was like the, oh my gosh, you guys, the Runza Bomber is interrupting our feed. Hold on a second. And let's see here. Hello.
I'm not a bomber. What makes you think that?
I love it.
Man, that's hot.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Wasn't there like a Saturday Night Live sketch? I can't remember if that was SNL where they had the sketch room artist, and just by happenstance, everything he drew looked like the Unabomber. Where they'd be like, a lady, she was 5'6", she was wearing like a pink dress, and he's like, did it look like this? And it's like a guy with just a hood and glasses, and they're like, that's perfect. That's exactly what she looks
exactly like. What it looks like. I like that.
Anyhow,
how's it going, man?
Pretty good. You working this morning? Working on art stuffs?
Yeah, I'm just finishing today's one page, which is Shoulder Pads Gone Wild.
So, Shoulder Pads Gone Wild is a great prompt. Who was that from?
Rachel Fleming.
That's hilarious.
One of the people that follows my stream.
That instantly makes me think of the 1980s. I feel like just hearing the words shoulder pads, suddenly my head just starts thinking, talking about freedom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an 80s wondrous thing. Shoulder pads were a big deal.
Yeah. It totally is. My mother was in a women's singing chorus, and they all had like the biggest shoulder pads you've ever seen.
Nice.
And they'd all stand in a row, and all I could think of was shoulder pad, shoulder pad, shoulder pad, shoulder pad. None of the songs mattered. It was all about the shoulder pads and perms.
Yeah, that's true. It's unless you were in I'm going to put it in quotes, a metal band from that time.
Oh well, yeah, it wasn't really kind of perm.
Yeah, but in that case, you weren't wearing shoulder pads. You were wearing spandex. You know,
you were wearing spandex and a cucumber.
Exactly.
So this is the page I'm drawing is totally digital. I very rarely do that.
Nice. We're going to have to nickname you Bobby Digital now.
It's part of this. It's part of the Pantone Challenge.
Oh, nice. And, see, to me, that feels like my day job because all we do is Pantone colors. So I'm like,
I chose.
It's like, that feels like work to me.
No, except for, Rachel Fleming, there's her suggestion on the back. This is the Pantone card that Dee Dee sent me in the mail.
Oh, that's cool. So they sent out a Pantone cards with the challenge attached?
It's Dee Dee sending out the cards to everybody to take part in the Pantone challenge. So when you buy a block of 50 or 100 Pantone cards, you can do art on each one. And Pantone, and Panto says, "I love you so much." So I chose Willow Boo, and so I'm actually taking the Pantone card and the suggestion, and I'm just finishing a 1-page comic from it.
I love that.
So
Pantones are amazing, I will say. And if you talk to like nerdy designers, they all have a favorite Pantone. My particular one is 187 because that runs through my veins.
187. Oh, okay. Yeah, crimson.
Well, I mean, it's blood red, yeah, for sure. And it's funny that it's 187. So I don't know. There was a while ago that some graphic designer had done like a graphic design gangster rap, and in it they were like, keep those grids locked. Like it's, but anyhow, he also talked about like 187 because it's like, obviously for people who don't know, that's also the code for killing a police officer.
Is it really?
So it's funny.
How do you know that,
that's
John?
that's why like hip hop songs will talk about committing a 187, right?
Oh.
But it's funny to me that Pantone, the Pantone for blood red is 187. Anyhow, it's just like a lot of layers within layers, which to me.
So you only know about that code because of rap music, right?
No, actually, my brother was an LAPD officer, so so when I'd hear those rap lyrics, I'd be like, I don't know, are all cops bad? You know?
Yeah,
excuse me, man. I'm having a cough this morning.
The best man at my wedding was a cop, well, he still is.
Gary Hodges said, "Look at those two men." I don't know which ones you're talking. Oh, are you talking about Christopher's drawing? I'm like, what men? Who? Where?
What? What? Who's?
So Gary, you're welcome to join as well, if you want. Shoulder pads gone wild. Okay, we have to like. I want to get a better look at that.
What's that? Oh, this?
Yeah, let me see if I can. Okay, let's make this big.
So I'm just finishing I'm only using white and the Willow Bow green color. That's the only colors on this thing except for black letters.
Nice. I like working in two color.
Well, I thought it was kind of the whole point of the challenge, right? Was to do just something with that color. I mean, they just want you to use the color. So I did all kinds of background textural stuff in here.
Yeah.
Like there's all kinds of, like, there's grids and there's actually, I scanned the card, so along the top there it actually has the Pantone Willow Bow text upside down, and then a bunch of other random stuff that I'm just drawing on top of.
I absolutely love that.
Okay.
Oh, Frank Salazar's joining us. Frank, if you want to hop in on stream, I can send you a link if you want on this early, crazy, what the hell are you doing awake stream.
But you can, why don't you make me smaller so we can, take part in watching that rough work you're doing?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to do that. So let me...
Rough. At the bottom of the screen, you see how there's the little boxes?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. I feel bad making you smaller, though. You're awesome.
I got a giant head, man.
That's a fair point. We're about balanced now. I feel like I don't need to buy a Ford F-150 now. I'm content with my height now. I'm gonna cancel my order.
Do you know how many people have told me, dude, you should just get an F-150? Because I don't fit in cars, right?
See, that's a reasonable reason to get a giant car, though. If you're a giant person who cannot fit in a regular car, it kind of makes sense. The funny thing to me is always the guy who gets out of an F-150. I feel like there's a height, like it's an inverted, like roller coaster test to buy that vehicle where it says like anybody past this height cannot buy this car.
Well, it's so dichotometric, right? Like it's always little guys in gigantic trucks.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like you need to get like a Mini, and just make it work somehow. Like...
just lean heavy in it to the other side to balance everybody out. I'll be like the guy in Police Academy that rips the chairs out of the front and throws them outside and sits in the back as he drives his Mini.
Oh man, I haven't seen Police Academy in years. Frank says he's walking to a meeting. If you're on after,
it's Tasters today, I think. Or
nice.
Toasters, sorry.
Toastmasters.
Tasters.
Taster toasters.
Taste
Masters. I'd like to be a member of Taste Masters if that's just like a club where you get to eat a bunch of stuff. Okay, I have to break down this the script part real quick. Yeah. So we have a grand theater is emblazoned with posters proclaiming. By the way, this guy Bosco is so fascinating as a character. I can't wait to like introduce him. He's the guy who invented the cup and ball trick.
The game?
Yeah, well, the cup and ball, like the New York thing, where like hustlers will do that, where they have like three.
Oh,
by the way, the immature part of me is like, I cannot tell this story without it sounding horrible, because I'm saying cups and balls. But the point being, it's like you have like these three squishy balls and 3 cups, and then it's like keep track of the ball, and then like there's a lot of sleight of hand in the trick. Where you just do these different routines, and of course the ball always ends up disappearing or reappearing and stuff like that. And it, when I was a kid and I was interested in magic for like, I had a good year and a half of buying like the magic kits and stuff when you're a kid. And one of the first tricks you learn is the cup and ball, where like because they're squishy, you can kind of squish 2 together and make it appear as one. There's a bunch of stuff where you can keep it hidden in the cup so that when you put the cup on top of another cup, the ball is actually hidden between. It's like there's a lot of little tricks to that, but that was all Bosco, like all of those cup and ball tricks.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, did you buy that cup and balls, or did you buy those magic kits thinking, this is a great way to meet girls?
For sure. No, I definitely had. I think I was too young to even be interested in meeting girls at that point. I think it was just like, I just thought magicians were really cool. So I learned, like, I forget, I would have to, like, I don't remember any of these tricks, but one of the ones that was really cool was you could do this one where it was like a long rope and you'd have somebody cut it and then tie a knot, and then you'd be able to like slip the knot off the rope, and it actually looked like it hadn't been cut, which is kind of insane. So yeah, that was a really cool one too. Toast Tasters. I like that club too. I do like me some toast. So Grand Theater is part 1. Grand Theater.
We have a Grand Theater in London here.
Nice. This one's called Teatro Niccolini, and I guess it's from like the 1600s. Like they've had this amazing. I have pictures of it too. So this is going to be like an intro shot, I'm guessing, or I should say establishing.
Oh.
And then it's going to have posters, so it's going to be like a kind of close up of the theater entrance. So I think what I want to do is an establishing shot of the theater. And then I want to do 2, which would be box office close up.
Yeah.
With posters. Because in this book, like anytime there's a change in location, I tend to want to show like an establishing shot where it's showing the location before you kind of get in details of the location. Because otherwise people kind of get thrown off. Like if you're not showing, like, if you don't show the establishing shot, which can be used to great effect. But it's like if you change locations in a story and it's like 2 close-up shots in different locations, it kind of can be off-putting. Whereas if you show the building, it's just like, or like the new location first, it's, yeah, I don't have to explain that to you, Christopher, but that's for people out there who might be working on comics.
To say for anybody that might be watching, though, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Those sort of things, when we're engaged in the process of putting together a page, you identifiably understand that because of, how many pages you've drawn. So somebody who's going to be tuning into this will be like, I never thought of that. That'll make things so much easier.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
good for you. Good for you for speaking to that point, because I think there's a great deal of people that could learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some basic stuff that I'll forget to mention, and I remember learning this when I was teaching college. It's better to over-explain than to under-explain.
Yeah.
Like, so, people tend to find it irritating sometimes to like have you go through everything. But what I found was like when you're teaching a group of people, there'll be like four people in the room that know exactly what you're going to say, and it's boring for them. And then there's the other four in the room that don't know any of it and are embarrassed and won't speak up. And so, like, you're actually saving those people by going through it. So I always kind of try to keep that philosophy when I'm talking about art, where it's like I try not to jump too far ahead, assuming everybody knows.
Well, when I
But
started
yeah,
going into schools and doing lectures, a friend of mine whose class I was going into, because I'm just coming from out of the blue, I never went to teachers college or anything.
yeah, yeah.
A friend of mine whose class I was going into, he said that the kids that are, when he teaches, the kids that get everything, his motivation isn't necessarily to teach to capitalize on those kids. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? His objective is to inform and educate those that don't know, that aren't grasping the material as easily as the others. And I've always liked that. I always liked the idea of you know, speaking to the people that truly need the lesson,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
So you're breaking down your panels.
Yeah, so what I do is actually I should probably read through them for the viewers too.
Sure.
So right now it's like so the Grand Theater is emblazoned with posters proclaiming Bartolomeo, forgive my bad Italian here, Bosco Professora di Prestidigitazione
I
v
backed you up.
Stupria. I don't know. Anyhow, it's basically translated. It's going to be Bartolomeo Bosco, professor of prestidigitation. Marvel at his sleight of hand. And Robert and Elizabeth are going to be strolling up to the entrance, arm in arm, and stop to admire the placards. So I'm almost thinking, actually, okay, we're going to change this up. Okay, so first one's going to be the Grand Theater, the Teatro Niccolini, and it's going to have like the caption that says Teatro Niccolini, and then we're going to have Robert and Elizabeth uh, strolling to box office with this dialogue, because I always break down, like when I'm working from a script, it's like for me the step one is like break down the script into what you're sequentially going to do before you even get to thumbnailing, because I want to start thinking it out. I don't know if you have that too, Christopher, but it's like for me,
Not at all.
yeah, I just like for me I need to think it out like before I even get to drawing, and then when I draw it's like really working it out. But it's like the sequence I need to like have a rough map of where I'm going to go for even the thumbnail.
Well, it depends on process too, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you're doing,
yeah.
you're doing a long form book,
Yes. And
and
I
so
think this is more for like graphic novels. Yeah.
yeah, what the one page thing, never do that. But when it comes to stories, yeah, there's real benefit to how you're approaching it.
So
So
then
as you're
we
writing down the key information, are you planning the shot too?
I'm roughly thinking about it and then I'll thumbnail it out. That's where like I'll really work. But I'm already imagining this Robert and Elizabeth strolling the box office. That's going to be like a mid shot, probably with them in the foreground and the box office in the background. This one I'm going to do a close up with posters. So
Nice.
we're kind of switching it up a little bit from the order it's written in the script, but it just makes more sequential sense. Because again,
Yeah.
like, this is the thing that quite often when somebody's writing, they aren't thinking sequentially. And so it's like, for me, what I do is I list out every action in the script and kind of the sequence of that. And then from there, I'll try to kind of delete actions if there's stuff that I can, like if there's two actions that it can show in one panel, great. but I try to reduce it as much as possible without it making like stopping making sense. And then from there, I'll go to like thumbnailing. Because again, like otherwise I'm wasting time, drawing stuff I don't need to draw.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're approaching the box office. So this is going to be a close up with the posters, and then 4 is going to be paying box office. Actually, no, we're going to do a fun little Chris Warian thing here. So what we'll do is they approach the box office, and then this is going to be continued dialogue. So we'll split this long run of dialogue where it says, Elizabeth says, a magic show. And then Robert says, I wanted to surprise you. Are you disappointed? And then I'm guessing that's when we'll get to the posters with on the contrary, I shall be marvelously entertained. And then I think when they approach the box office, it's going to be you, however, will be too busy puzzling over the illusions to enjoy yourself. And then... because this is like an on-running theme throughout this, is that Elizabeth gets really interested in spiritualism and seances and all this stuff, and Robert is like the ever skeptic.
Nice.
And so you have this like kind of skeptic versus wishful believer. So it's almost like, in a weird way, from the standpoint of Home, who's like the villain of this story, although he's not like a clear-cut villain, but as a character, Home is... and this girl Sophie are going to be preying on Elizabeth. Like they're trying. She's a mark to them, and Robert is the problem for them because Robert is a skeptic, and the if you're looking at a mark, you don't want a skeptic, right? No. So it's kind of like we're slowly building into this what will be a broader kind of conflict that'll be kind of the main crux of the book, as well as there's going to be a lot of questions of like, is the supernatural stuff happening? Is it not? It's going to be interesting. But Bosco is going to be a character within that we're introducing at this point in the story, and that's pretty fun. Bosco, initially, I believe the writer for this wanted it to be Houdini, which would have been really fun, but we didn't feel comfortable making that much of a stretch because the magician character is a bit of fiction, although there were magicians that they knew. This is like us kind of filling in blanks that weren't filled in the letters. But if we started introducing Houdini, who would have been like 1 year old at this point or something like that, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. But Bosco, who was a mentor of Houdini, existed at the same time. So this is like a reasonable assumption that this might be a character.
Nice.
It would have been fun to be a Houdini, but it just wouldn't. It just didn't work out timeline wise, and we don't want to. Again, we're doing historical fiction, but we're not doing like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen kind of level historical fiction. So this is your more traditional historical fiction where it's trying to be as close to the actual history as possible.
I think that'll give you more credibility amongst those people that are very much rooted in an appreciation of those specific individuals that you've got in your piece. So
yeah, and it kind of like the fun part of it is, to me, like this style of historical fiction, the fun part of it is if you can write it in a way where everything is probable, like meaning you couldn't prove it didn't happen. Like that's the funnest. Like oh my gosh, I never use funnest except on this stream. That's the most fun of all. I even made fun of myself for saying funnest by having it in the title recently. So okay, they approach the box office. Now we're gonna do 5. I'm gonna do close up of paying clerk, and then 6 is gonna be close-up tickets. I know what that means.
Yeah. Well, your shorthand is for you, right?
Yeah. So basically what I want to do there is a trick that I love sequentially that Chris Ware does a lot. And actually the director, I'm blanking out on the title of this movie. He's the guy who did it's like one of the most disturbing movies you'll ever watch. Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember it. It's the one that has that theme song that's like doom 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 doom. Um it's oh my gosh, the director, I'm blanking out. The guy who played the Joker, the worst version of the Joker I think I've ever seen, Suicide Squad, isn't it? Jared Leto is in it.
Oh, are you talking about the? It's not Sunspot Mine, or that's not a. It's the
Yeah,
drug. It's a drug
yeah,
movie.
it's a drug movie. It's like it's a really disturbing movie too. But what was
I know
that
which one you mean.
called? Jared Leto drug movie.
Okay.
Requiem for a Dream. It's a great movie. But it's again not really for kids. Like it's definitely not a movie that puts you in like a good
So
mood.
you know that movie
Yeah.
is one of those films that like pilfers a lot of shots from somebody else.
Oh really?
Yeah, Satoshi Kon was a Japanese animator,
Oh
and he's
nice.
responsible for films like Millennium Actress and Paprika and Three Godfathers. An absolute genius.
Yeah.
But between Requiem for a Dream and Inception, both of those movies steal heavily from him.
That makes sense. I
Yeah,
mean,
shot transitions are entirely leaned into from his work, and the director has said that I'm a huge fan. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because the way Requiem for a Dream is edited is one of the most compelling parts of the movie. But it does these things. He did that. The same director did like a movie where somebody. I think it's called Pi. I think he did Pi, which is like a movie where somebody gets like obsessed with the number pi, but he does
yeah,
the same transition trick
yeah,
in almost all of his films, and it's a very notable trick where it's like
that's
when an action happens, it's like he'll sample a sound,
yeah,
and like so it's almost done like sampling where you'll see these actions like in a cash register, you'd see the register, you'd hear the cha-ching, and then you'd see like a close-up of money exchanged or whatever. I
yeah,
love doing that in comics, and comics are a perfect art form to do that, where you can do a small panel of like a mundane action. Like if you're having somebody open a door, you can have like a close up of a hand and the door opening or whatever. And Chris Ware is a master at doing that in comics.
yeah,
But I love like anytime I have an opportunity to do that. Yeah. Now the downside is like you want to avoid the temptation of showing every action, right?
yeah,
You can go a little too overboard with that. But in this case, where it's like they're paying a clerk, and it's so I can already see what this will be. It'll be them tendering cash, which is more work for me because now I have to look up what Italian currency in like 1860 looked like. But anyhow, and then showing the tickets, so it's almost like two of the same shot, but it's just you're seeing the give and the take. I think that's a lot of fun. That'll be fun
yeah,
for the layout.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so and now they're having text. So I'm gonna have them entering the theater, and I already have like reference of the theater entrance, which is good. It's really a beautiful theater. Grand theaters are crazy.
Yeah,
You said they have one in London.
yeah. Guess what his name is?
What is it?
Grand Theater.
Nice. So it's
Yeah, we're
not
real.
Teatro Niccolini.
Teatro Niccolini Bartolone.
Teatro Niccolini.
There's a funny joke in a film with oh, I can't remember his name. It doesn't matter. But there's a film where the guy goes, "Wait a minute, this restaurant's called the La Trattoria," and he says, "Yeah, it's great." And he goes, "You realize that says the Trattoria, right?" And he goes,
The
"Yeah,
La
yeah, it's awesome. Twice as good."
Twice as good. That's so great. I do like it as the La. That is funny.
Yeah,
Okay, so they're going to be entering the theater and then the final dialogue. So right now we have a map of what will be 7 panels. I like that. and 2 of which are going to be really small panels. So that's my little notes.
It works.
And now we have a map, and we're going to do our thumbnail, and then from our thumbnail, hopefully get to roughs. But we're at like the 49-50 minute mark, so I'm going to probably play a trailer if you're okay with that, Christopher.
Good stuff.
Okay. And let's see here. Let's play. Let's just play Wordzoid by Jim Lujan, who I'll be hanging out with later today.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Well, Peter, since I'm such a big music fan, I'm going to have to go with Karen Carpenter. Oh, Stu, I'm sorry. That's the incorrect answer. Trish, what you got for us?
I'm gonna go with Kim Gordon.
All right, let's check that answer. Kim Gordon. Do we have a Kim Gordon? Yes, and that means you're our new Wordzoid champion, Trish. Dale, tell Trish what she's won. Trish, you've won a copy of 2 stories, a memoir of faith and mental illness. Handwritten, hand-drawn, and handed to you by artist and writer Joshua Kemble. But wait, that's not all. You've also won a copy of Jacob's Apartment, the story of a doomed romance. What happens when you take Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and put it in a blender with Ghost World? You get Jacob's Apartment, written and illustrated by Joshua Kemble. Trish, thank you for playing Wordzoid.
All right, great job, Trish.
I was told I was gonna get a lifetime supply of paper towels.
I still love that bit. All right, so I'm gonna start gathering now. I have all my references that I've got. Some of them provided by the author, and then some of them I looked up on my own. There were like gaps I needed to fill. For instance, like they don't currently have a box office, like a traditional box office at the current location that as it probably existed at the time. So I looked up some. This is what I was doing this morning, you guys. Like early in the morning, I was looking up research, which I know, like, if Dee Dee is watching, she'd be disappointed because she likes participating in the research. Yeah, she's helped me out, like on a couple things. She helped me find a pretty badass. So I did some research and found a box office that I thought would be probable from there. Nice. Dee Dee said, see your Instagram messages. Oh, wow. Did Dee Dee already send a bunch of... Oh, my gosh. She already sent 4 photos. Oh, currency. Hells yes. That's amazing, Dee Dee. I'm gonna actually save these if I can.
You're practically done now.
That's amazing. That's all I needed. So she found the currency from there.
Excellent.
Which is great because it won't need to be like a crazy detailed shot of that. But I'm gonna go ahead and add that now. Dee Dee, like, already on it. Already, much appreciated, Dee Dee. You are awesome. Yeah, it's funny. On this stream, I've made that kind of a participatory thing. If people want to, help me on the hunt for these things, some of which have been harder than others, they are more than welcome. And a lot of viewers have been really helpful in. It's one of the things that I've actually found really interesting, and I'll probably mention if I'm ever. Like, let's assume like maybe 3 people read the book and one of them might want to interview me or something when it's out. That's something I'll definitely be bringing up is let's see. Did I just lose it? Is the fact that like doing live streams while doing a historical fiction graphic novel have like some real benefits. And one of the huge ones is like, you can get people to help you with research, which is really cool. Yeah. I have a bunch of posters from the era. There's a couple Bosco posters, but unfortunately, like, they're from when he was a part of like a troupe. Like, I guess he had a traveling kind of comedic, magician group. So he wasn't like quite as, there's a lot of like amazing, Victorian era magician posters that I'll
A lot
probably
of
be
these.
referencing. What's up?
A lot of these ones.
Yeah, and usually they have like a little demon on the poster, which I'm probably going to incorporate on this poster because I noticed that his other ones do have that, and because it was like playing off the Victorian superstition where they're like, he's using the powers of demons. So yeah, anyhow, it'll be fun.
Good. Sounds perfect.
But let's see here, downloads. So. Is this you wrapping the one pager for the day? Because you do like one a day, right?
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Well, this is.
So here's Dee Dee's references, which is kind of cool. Thank you for finding those.
Nice.
Boom. So perfect. Yeah, she ended up finding that quarter a while, or not the quarter, but like a coin, because there was a scene earlier where Elizabeth was tipping a kind of assistant at the time, and then that was a weird one too because I had to look up because there's like people at the time that were like newsboys kind of, and like they would also be like messenger boys, and it's like they kind of had like a bellhop type uniform, but like this side pocket that they'd keep like mail in. It was really interesting. Like finding out a lot of, I don't know, this whole the journey of doing this book has been fascinating in that sense, finding all those little like weird details from the time. So there's our box office that we're going to need. There's our currency. Beautiful. Thanks to Dee Dee Willingham. Thank you, Dee Dee. And then I'm going to pull in some of these Bosco posters because right now I'm just collecting everything I need. This is not Bosco, by the way. That I think Leroy was like another magician that used to tour with Bosco. And then there was this lady, Talma, who was like their lady. And I might actually have her in the next page.
Nice.
As a person being levitated. But there's a couple Bosco posters I found, and I'm just going to pull them all in. Because again, like with this, I'd rather have a bunch of like visual cues when I draft a custom made thing. There's a little bit of a diagram from Bosco's ball and cup trick.
Oh, that's very cool.
That I found. I got some references of a magician reenacting the ball and cup. Because I think this is before they had them as like the little squishy sponge ones. The squishy sponge ones, it's way easier to do a lot of Bosco's tricks. Whereas like you had to be really good at sleight of hand when you don't have the squishiness.
I guess so. I guess you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I need to try to have, I have a roommate, an old roommate that I used to have when in my first apartment, when I was a young man and like first moved out of the house. And he was one of the best guitarists I've ever known. I've talked about him on stream before. He was born with like a fetus hand. Like he didn't have a fully formed hand.
Yeah.
And yet he somehow had become like one of the best basketball players I knew. So if you played 21 with him, like on a court, he would just utterly destroy you.
Like the Django Reinhardt principle?
What's up?
It's like the Django Reinhardt principle.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Django Reinhardt is a one of those guitar players.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And he had 3 fingers on his one hand.
Oh,
because, he lost the other 2 fingers to gambling.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't actually know about Django Reinhardt. I know that like for him when he was playing guitar, he used to have he had like a strap that would attach to a pick, and it would just be to his wrist, and then he'd just play like this, like with his wrist, and he'd do wrist work for picking
because he's missing fingers.
Yeah, and so it's like he would literally just use the pick and do a lot of like traditional folk picking and stuff, which is insane. Yeah. Crazy good guitarist, but also like now he's actually a magician. And it'd be fun to have him on stream because he does like magic at the Magic Castle.
You're
my
talking
friend,
about-
my friend Chris Canfield. He was my
Oh,
first
okay.
roommate, and he was on in the last year or so. He was on the oh my gosh, what is it called? It's like a magic TV show with the two skeptics. What are their
Stump
names?
Us? Penn and Teller.
Yeah, he was on the Stump Us show. Like he was on there.
My friend Mysterion, that's not his real name, but I'm just going to use a stage name for his own benefit because I wouldn't want to expose him. But he and his partner did a passing of the mind.
Oh,
That Penn and
nice.
Teller could see they stumped Penn and Teller
Oh, that's awesome.
for mind tricks, like for reading each other's minds, and they could see nothing, no coding with the fingers, nothing going on across the room as they're literally picking things out of the minds of people around them.
That's badass. Yeah, like yeah. So I think it would be fun to have Chris on because I feel like magicians and artists. I mean, they kind of have like a very similar thing where what we do looks like magic to people sometimes, but a lot of it's just practice and like very boring stuff nobody would want to watch, like this stream. But so right now I'm just loading all the research that I have. So here's the front of the Teatro Niccolini. It's actually kind of interesting, but all of the buildings in this area are like these giant, almost like skyrise type things, very similar to Casa Guidi, which is their residence. But in this case, it's like there just happens to be this like giant theater. So I'm going to put the ticket booth probably under this like awning because right now it's a cafe that didn't exist at the time, and I'm guessing that's where they would have had the ticket booth. And then I'm going to just start grabbing a lot of these like Bosco kind of things. Like I found Bosco's this is like his actual like box with his tricks.
Excellent. Oh, excellent.
Yeah, and then that's a drawing of Bosco at the time. I know Dee Dee said she sent some Bosco stuff, so let me see if I'll take a look at your stuff after I load up all these ones. This is a great one that I might use as slight inspiration. Yeah, I love that. Like back in the day too, these were usually like painted with gouache on a deadline.
Yeah,
and it's just like unbelievable that like typography they were able to pull off. So this is Bosco doing his like duck trick. So this is giving me a lot of like stuff to work with, even though we're not really going to show Bosco other than a poster of him. Here's a photo of him. And the nice thing is with Bosco, I have a little bit of leeway because again, this is like the stuff that like is really historically accurate. I'm like pretty bound, you know. But the stuff that's like more conjecture, like in this case, there's going to be in a couple scenes, there's going to be like a sequence that's like in his dressing room and stuff like that. And it's like none of that has any references. So it's like I have a bunch of like fun leeway to it. So this is the stuff I was talking about with the demon. There's always like this little red demon. I'm trying to remember the magician who had like those amazing freaking posters. I think Chris, you know what? I don't want to short Chris Canfield. I think he has his own YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's married to a friend of mine, Amanda Schreckengost, and their first apartment was like was shared with me. I was their annoying roommate. Yeah, so let me put a link in the chats. You guys should all follow him actually on YouTube. He has 960 subscribers. That should go up, guys. So
come on, guys.
Here's a link to Chris Canfield stuff. He's really inspiring.
I can't see it, but I'm going to check it out after.
I actually I did that little like it was his logo, but he just had me do it in vector for him. So years ago, but good guy.
Many moon ago.
So here's the inside of the Teatro Niccolini. This is really cool. It's going to be a fun It's so funny though. Like every element of this book has been like an artist's dream and an artist's nightmare. Like that's what I get to draw probably on the next page.
It's really complex. It's really complex.
But then again, it's more gridded than a lot of modern theaters, so it should be in theory a little easier to kind of block out and figure out the shapes of. Here's an overhead shot. It's great because it's like there's just a ton of references. So, and then this is what it looks like. It's kind of like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you know, like that thing that's carved into the side of the mountain. It's like that. It's like a secret theater. Just
Petra.
hidden.
You're thinking of Petra.
Yeah, Petra. That's right. Which I'm sure is in Corey Kerr's secret collection. Nice. Dee Dee said subbed back to lurking. Nice. That's awesome. Thank you, Dee Dee. I'm sure you'll get a kick out of it because he's a pretty amazing magician, and he does one-handed magic, which is like a whole thing in magic. Like there's a long history of one-handed magicians, but very good at sleight of hand. And it's funny because I like when we were roommates, I knew he did card tricks because he'd do occasional card tricks, but I didn't realize he would actually become like a magician, you know, like it's just something he'd do like every once in a while, you know, or he'd be like, hey Josh, come here, like, okay, follow this thing, and I'd be like doing this weird card trick with him and be like, how the hell do you do that? He's like, I don't know, you know, it's just like
magic. I don't know.
Well, because I think he had some magicians in the family, like I think his dad or something ran a magic shop.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
But
it's almost like it was meant to be.
Yeah. But anyway, he tells his story in this this video. Inspiring one-handed magician tries to fool Penn and Teller. But yeah, good guy, good friend.
Did he do it? Did he fool them?
No. But they kind of said like part of why he didn't fool them was he was doing a tribute to the one-handed magician who had this whole specific routine that was a card.
So they know the ins and outs of it then.
And so he had done it expertly, but like most magicians are like who are familiar with that magician would be like, oh, okay, we know how that's done, you know.
Yeah, all the masters would know, which is the trick of trying to fool Penn and Teller because they truly are rounded masters, right?
Oh yeah. No, you'd have to, and I think I don't think he really was under the illusions that he would fool them with a traditional trick. I think his goal was to go there and just execute it expertly, you know.
Oh, and they're probably impressed by that alone. My friend Mysterion, the only reason that he fooled Penn and Teller is because he's a mentalist.
Oh, mentalism is so good.
And as a mentalist, and being able to read people's minds and read the mind of his assistant, and you know, and to make people think he's, you know, just pervading in their mind. So they couldn't figure out how they did it.
Yeah, I love mentalism so much. I mean, when it's done well. I'm forgetting the British mentalist that I love so much. Oh, Darren Brown was great too. I really enjoyed Darren Brown. But also Darren Brown's one of those guys who like a lot of mentalism is still a trick. You know, it's like what I think I saw a really good interview with Darren Brown where he was talking about part of the trick of mentalism is you do use like slight hypnosis every once in a while. But the majority of it is you make people think they're like even part of the hypnotizing process is making people think they're hypnotized by doing tricks that are like, I'm reading your mind, and you're not, it's just a trick. But then once you have like somebody who's hypnotically suggestible, convinced that you've read their mind, then they're more inclined to fall into hypnosis and let you literally like control them. So it's like this really weird, interesting realm, but I love mentalism. It's fun. That's awesome. That's cool. How did you get to know that guy?
The store I worked at, he'd come in.
Nice.
I managed a pretty popular store for 20 years, so I finished this page. This is all done.
You must have met some really interesting characters. I still think we need to have an Artcasters episode where we just talk about your experience running a comic shop, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Whatever you need.
That's almost crazy. That is almost crazier, if not crazier, than actually doing comics.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely something to that.
Yeah. But like selling comics, like I don't know if people are aware, like it kind of goes for publishers too, where a lot of people don't realize like publishers are as ambitious, if not more kind of ambitious than cartoonists.
Well, which I've done as well, right? Like
Yeah.
the comic company, we've done 73 books now,
Yeah.
and it's like, to keep going
Yeah.
and not bankrupt your family is like, we managed to do that, and
Yeah.
and then
That's
until I get
impressive.
burnt out when COVID happened, and I'm done. That's since COVID, we've put out 5 other books, but it's just assisting friends putting out books. I'm really not keen to undertake all that we were doing before.
Yeah, for sure.
So I finished this page.
Well, let's see it. Here, let's go back to a more equitable thing. Let's make this big. I love it. I'm trying to read the text on there.
It says, Willow, however do I get the boys to notice my fashion sense? Oh, Bo, you've got to up your shoulder pad game. Ladies everywhere are doing it. It's a definite way to get boys to pay attention. We all know how difficult that can be. They are simple. Well, what if things get out of hand? If it becomes easy to get more attention this way, can't we all take things too far? It makes me concerned, Willow. Bo, it's just shoulder pads. Get a grip, girl. People never get too extreme, right?
That's hilarious. I love that.
So that's the page.
I like the style of it too. It's got like a very like old timey. Yeah, that's really cool.
It's going for 1950s gals.
Yeah, it definitely has that. Like that, especially even that guy in the top right is just
Settle
very,
down,
like,
Sally.
1950s. Yeah, exactly. Hello there.
I'm a man.
I love it.
It's fun to do. One of the things that I enjoy is doing things in different styles all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
And so that sort of allows me to push myself creatively to, try new things, to try to figure out new ways in which to tell stories. One of the things that I really respect and love about your work is that you have managed in this piece to identifiably really set yourself up with a very specific style and hold on to it through all the pages that you've done so far. And I think the working process that you have, like referring to these old materials and to these architectural arrangements and the currencies and everything else, all this pieces of information, allows you to, because you have all that material, to be able to interpret in the style that you're working in. Because I don't know if, like, I hope people have read your other books, but I don't know if they're cognitively aware of the fact that this style is very different from those 2 books.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not, and it's just, it's that nice subtle turn into this new approach, and yet you've maintained it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when people try drawing in a different way, they you can't hold on to it. They'll do it for like 12 pages and then lean back into what they've been drawing, the other style they've been drawing in for the last little while. But you've done it. You've how many pages are you in now?
Let's see, 78 right now.
Man, that's great.
Yeah, it is like one of those things of I think there are different approaches to art and stuff, but I feel like you and I are a little bit more aesthetically like in touch in a weird way, because I think that when I see you doing your one pages, like they're incredible, right?
Oh, that's very nice.
But to me, the variation in style and that approach to it actually makes a lot of logical sense to me. Because I'm an artist who I can kind of play with multiple styles.
Yeah.
And and honestly, I think that's part of how I've been able to retain like an art director position is like the ability to, I can take a style and dissect it and figure out how it was executed and then execute accordingly.
Yeah.
And that's a really like huge skill. I'm glad Corey Kerr's starting to do some like more specific breakdowns than I would have patience for on his channel of that kind of ability. But it is like a superpower to be able to kind of play in different styles with different mediums. And Christopher, one of the things I love about watching your live streams is the way you adapt to each medium that you're using. And so it's like the medium kind of and the style sort of feed each other. And I think that's a really like, to me, that makes a lot of sense. To some artists, I don't think that would make sense. Like artists that are locked in a specific style. You know,
Well,
yeah, I don't know if that would
I
make
think that it makes perfect sense. But I think that is the secret. That's the secret wizard behind the curtain thing, though, is that when you are using these different tools, you're going to have different approaches to the same. You're still telling comic pages and you're still coming at them in the same mindset that you're working from. But when you're using these different tools, it sort of forces you to variate just enough that it's going to look distinctly different just because this is a ballpoint pen and then this is digital and then this over here is pencil crayon. So, I think,
but it still has your voice. It's just like it's just more subtle than like if you were just constantly executing everything in like pen and ink or something.
Yeah, but I think that the thing that connects them all is the fact that with the amount that I draw and the amount that I have drawn, and painted and so on and so forth, I have a very specific voice.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that that's the secret. That's the secret sauce. So, 1 second. Yes, sir. What would you like? This is my grandson Jay.
How's it going?
We're on Josh's stream. He's in California. Want to hear something weird? It's 3 hours earlier than we are right now.
So that would mean it would be about 9.
Yeah.
9:12.
Wow, that is some expert math there, dude. For
she likes math a lot.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's awesome. My son likes math a lot too.
Excellent.
Can we have lunch?
Sure. What do you want?
Sandwich.
Okay, we'll do it in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Sounds good. You want to go play for a couple more minutes and I'll call you in for 12:30? 12:20? Unless you want to make the sandwiches.
I want to make them.
Okay, then we'll wrap it up in just a second. Let me say goodbye to Josh.
Awesome. Sounds reasonable. So you do need sandwiches for sure.
You gotta negotiate sandwich making.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I really I just sort of let the medium just sort of convey in different ways, and then I just lean into that. And the fact of how I draw and work and with the amount of that I've done, that voice is inevitably going to come through, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't do X amount of stuff without having developed your own voice.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
but
and I think people, young artists get really stuck on, man, this would be a great Artcasters topic too that we haven't touched on in a while. But it's like I do feel like a lot of young artists get really stuck on concern about style.
Yeah.
And it can be a kind of trap. Like the style thing can be a trap because the style is just going to happen. Like, a good example, like Christopher, what you were talking about, it's like what I'm working on right now really isn't a change in my art style. It's just that I'm, instead of using hatching, I'm using like more like shaded rendering, but it's like the line is still the same. It's like, it's still kind of the same internal structure. It's just there's a few subtle changes where I'm not using rulers. I'm using more of like a pencil type look.
Yeah.
But it's still like
sorry.
So the medium kind of just changes the style. Like if you saw my paintings, like, and this goes for anybody like watching or whatever, if you see the way I approach like oils, it's totally different than the way I approach, because oils are way more like fun in like a certain way. Like there's a lot more expression in oil than there is allowed in like pen and ink, the way I executed it. But it's like it really changes based on the medium. But the thing you're always improving as an artist is your drawing abilities and your compositional abilities and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then the style just kind of follows. Like I feel like if somebody's restricted to a specific style, I feel like that's just a limitation on your vocabulary as an artist. You know.
And I look at your approach and my approach too, is that we're still singing with the same voice. It just happens to be a different song.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Or it's like maybe you picked up a mandolin instead of a guitar. You know, like it's going to sound different, but like the chords really aren't that different. You know, like yeah,
it's a lot harder though.
yeah.
Look at me, I'm Rod Stewart. Sorry.
Hey, Rod Stewart, I used to hate so much, and then I just hadn't heard the Faces or whatever.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And once I heard that, I was like, "What? He's actually
you
good."
You might not realize that you'd heard the Faces, but you probably had before too, right? Because whenever Ronnie Wood would play with Rod, well, it's because Ron was a guitarist of the Faces.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it was just shocking to me because I had grown up with like, "If you want my body," and I was like, "Oh, I hate this guy so much," you know. And then like you hear the Faces and you're like, "Oh my gosh, they were rock and roll." Like he was
hardcore,
like legit, like Rod Stewart was, and then you start reading the history and it's like Rod the Mod and like all this stuff. It's like, what? He was a mod? Like, when did this happen? Because again, if you grew up in the 80s, the Rod Stewart you're seeing there, it's kind of like, I mean, it would make sense that like, you know, I would have had a bad perception of him, but it's like
that's the difference of growing up with Rod in the 70s, is that you're exposed to far more of what he was up to.
Yeah.
And because I had a cousin who was 8 years my senior, and she was in love with Rod Stewart, as many young women were. And it's crazy how improvisational he was, and how is, right? No, not so much now, but he was. And I mean, there's a song that they did live on Top of the Pops, and if you watch it, he's got a sheet of type paper. Like, he's got a sheet of lined paper.
Yeah.
And because they just wrote the song.
That's amazing. Yeah. And like, what's funny too, I'm forgetting, but I think there's some history where I think Zeppelin originally wanted Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
Like, originally, like, the first thing they were thinking was like, dude, frontman Rod Stewart. And I'm like, can you imagine a universe where Zeppelin is fronted by Rod Stewart?
It wouldn't have been Zeppelin. It wouldn't have been Zeppelin.
No, for sure. But it is fascinating that he was like that legit. Like at that point in time, like he was good. I mean, he was incredible. Yeah. And it took me a while to accept that, because I, again, like growing up in the 80s and seeing some of the so this is going to be the post. So right now I've done like a thumbnail of like, this is going to be the establishing shot, probably a carriage in the foreground, them kind of approaching slightly near the box office. This is going to be a close-up where they're in the foreground, and we're going to have like the box office, you know, like posters here. That'll be like the Bosco stuff with a little bit of dialogue.
Nice.
The fourth is going to be them continuing their dialogue at the box office. So I think this will be them at the booth.
Yeah.
Probably have them in the foreground. And then we're going to have some more dialogue. And then we're going to have our box office booth person, which I'll have to research. What the box office booth thing. That's going to be interesting. I don't know if I'll find anything specific to Italy at the time, though. But
just use PW at the end of his first film.
PW?
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, nice. It would be funny to have
Pee Wee. Hotel. Could I get you anything?
I absolutely adore. Oh my gosh! Speaking of, like I was talking about with Rod Stewart, a lot of people may not realize that Pee Wee's Big Adventure is easily one of the best movies ever made. Like, it's an incredible movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that same thing where it's like, you just, the more you like, yeah, just actually watch that. Don't think Pee Wee Herman. Just watch that movie.
One of
It's
my favorite
incredible.
moments is at the end where he's the guy at the hotel, and he goes, "Paging Mr. Herman, Mr. Herman," and it's clearly not his voice.
Yeah.
Anyways, listen. I'm really.
Oh, yeah.
I want to ask you one question before I got to run.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, you have some sandwiches you
I
have
got
to make.
sandwiches to make. When you're structuring your page,
Mm-hmm.
do you have a uniform format that you're approaching through this whole book? Are you sticking to a 6 grid or an 8 grid or?
Yeah, so
anything like that?
that's kind of the theory behind it, is like I stick to a 6 grid on this as like the default, and then everything kind of builds from there. So
Yeah.
it'll switch from like a 6 grid to like once I'm thumbnailing a sequence, like what I'm going to do here is thumbnail the page. If I'm happy with the 6 grid on it, then we'll stick with that. If
Mhm.
there's an opportunity to kind of branch beyond that,
Yeah.
that doesn't mess with the clarity of the story, then I'll go there. So like there's really fun examples where it's deviated. Like I came up with there was a sequence where they're walking through a park,
The
and I had
horizontal
done it.
lines.
Yeah, and I had done it just like as a standard grid, and then I was like, oh no, this is an opportunity to do that fun Frank King thing where it's like it's the image of like the whole park, and then each panel is kind of watching, like you're walking with them through it. So
Yeah.
it's like there's opportunities like that arise, but you know this too, Christopher. Like a
Yeah.
lot of the freedom with art comes with like your limitations, because a lot of people actually what'll prevent them from doing a graphic novel is the endless possibilities. So
Yeah.
they'll kind of be approaching a page over and over again with the endless possibilities instead of just going, okay, these are the rules that I'm establishing early on. And then you use those rules kind of like rock and roll, where you're like, okay, we're going to do this in 4/4 time. And, there needs to be like a verse, a chorus, a breakdown. Like you have your structures, and then you can explode the structures within it.
Yeah.
But you need those structures at the beginning for sure. Yeah. But anyhow, Christopher, before you go, let people know where to find you. Obviously, they should be. If you guys haven't subscribed to Christopher Runciman, what are you doing? It's a lot of fun. It's very inspiring to watch Christopher work, because again, you never know the medium he's going to use to approach the next one page. The style is very, very unique to Christopher, but like we discussed here, if you like the fact that like in my book 2 stories I switch from like 2 different styles, Christopher varies all over the place with the style, but in the best of ways, and generally by the medium. And so it's really good way to learn how to kind of explore and use mixed media and approach comics fearlessly. So I'd encourage people to check that out. But Christopher, where can people check that out?
Oh, everything you just said was really nice. Yeah, thank you. So you can find me on Instagram at Christopher_Runciman, RUNCIMAN _Canada. And you can find me on YouTube under my name, Christopher,
Awesome.
RUNCIMAN, and Facebook. I think on Facebook I'm still Runciman, but it's
Runciman's great.
Yeah, and then Patreon's my name too. But I post a new page every day. I've done 154 since the start of the year of the one pages, and then on Patreon I show all the original stuff that goes into the pages, and it's a lot of fun. We do the stream Monday to Friday at 2:00, and Josh, next time you have a day off and you're working from home, I'd love to have you on.
Oh, that'd be fun, yeah.
Because I really, really appreciate your work, and you're great to hang out with.
Oh yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. People give me a suggestion for a story idea, like a brief suggestion, a couple sentences, a weird line, an idea, a visual image, and I draw a new one-page comic every day.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks very much for having me on. It's
thanks. Enjoy your sandwiches. Yeah.
I love peanut butter sandwiches.
Hell yeah. That's I'm gonna suggest one thing before you go. try peanut butter and sweet pickle sandwiches.
Oh,
It
oh.
sounds disgusting. Almost everyone I've told about it, when they try it, it's a different thing. It's like a bizarre thing. Peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. Amazing. And I just lost my entire subscriber base. They're just like, oh, I'm done. There's a prompt for you, Christopher. Peanut butter and pickle sandwiches.
All right, I'll write it down.
Do an autobiographical page of your experience eating a peanut butter and pickle sandwich.
Peanut butter pickle.
It has to be true to life. You have to try it out. But sweet pickles, not. I mean, if you try that with like a sour pickle, like you're done. That's not going to work because you need that sweet and savory balance.
Yeah, I'm writing it down. Cremblinator.
I love it.
In the book. It's in the book. I don't walk away from any idea.
It's true. Honestly, okay, again, another reason you guys should be following Christopher. He will take prompts from the chats. So it's an opportunity to kind of creatively collaborate with Christopher, give him wild ideas. And the fun thing is he fearlessly will just do them. And it's kind of like a inspiring thing to watch. And also will take away all your own personal excuses. Like if you guys are watching me and you're finding like, oh, I'm having trouble doing comics, I'm having trouble getting to stuff, watch Christopher. It takes away all excuses. You can do comics. You can do them fearlessly. But yeah, awesome. Nice. I appreciate you coming on, Christopher. It was fun.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, everybody. Awesome. I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna go and make some sandwiches for lunch here and have some fun with some grandkids. So have a great day, brother. And listen, have a great time with Jim and Paul today. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun. We just have to convince Paul to put on some pants. That's the catch. That's going to be the hard part is like, Paul, if we're going to be in public, you need to be wearing pants. That's going to be
it'll tell you whether or not you're allowed to sit inside or outside of the cafe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Bye for now.
All right. Have a good one.
See you later.
Well, that was fun. That was awesome to have Christopher on stream. Christopher is like somebody we met through, I believe he met Scott first, had sent Scott like a couple of his comics, and we were just all stunned by them and how good they are. And he's just such a joy to talk to. Like we had him on Artcasters a while ago, like a long while ago. And since then he is, like a huge part of our community. And I just get such a kick and such inspiration talking to that guy. Okay, we're almost through the thumbnail here. I was talking to Christopher, so there's a couple things in the thumbnail process that I may not have talked through. So basically what I have here is, and this is really loose, right? But it's like panel 1 is going to be an establishing shot of the building with the entrance, and we'll probably have like a couple carriages or a carriage in front of it. Panel 2 is them walking to the entrance, like that arched entrance. Panel 3 is going to be them in the foreground on the right. And on the left, we're going to see the Bosco posters, and we're going to have some of the dialogue. Panel 4 is going to be them at the ticket booths with the ticket guy. Panel 5 and 6 are going to be small stacked panels, where the first one's going to be Robert's hand passing money under the counter, through the ticket booth, and then the next one's the tickets coming through the till. And then number 6, are we at 6? Yeah, actually we're at 7, and the 7's going to be them entering the theater. So it says they enter the theater, but I feel like I don't want to show the theater at the end of this. This is that page turn thing, because right now we're working on a let's see. Yeah, so right now I want them to actually be just walking through the doorway of the theater, so that the next page can be like a more kind of surprise. Unfortunately, this won't happen on the page turn. From what I recall, let's see. You extras. Yeah, so that won't be happening on the page turn. It would be fun if that was happening on the page turn, where it's like they walk into the building and then you turn the page and then you see this grand theater. But we'll still have like at least a page change, where here it'll be them walking in to the theater. So I'm going to have them kind of smaller here. And maybe we'll have the ticket booth here. Our ticket booth will be up front, and then we'll have the archway here and like doorway or something. And I think here will be that last bit of dialogue that I want of Elizabeth. And then here will be the foreground. So there's our thumbnail. So we've finished our thumbnail. I'm actually pretty happy with this as a layout. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. I'm going to get a refill of my coffee. We have a good, 9:30. So I don't want to really end the stream till about 11. By the way, Dee Dee Willingham said she saw Rod Stewart in 1972. That's awesome. And again, if you guys are watching this and you're like music snobs and you're like, Rod Stewart, like check out the faces. It's just unbelievable how good that band was. And like rock and roll, like, I mean, like dangerous, sexy rock and roll. I have this whole thing. Kevin Cross and I used to always talk about this where like, there should be a requirement for music to either be sexy or dangerous to be good. And so it either should have something about it that's really sexy or something about it that's just like super dangerous where you're like, oh man, I got to kind of keep this away from my kids because like this is going to cause just damage, like, and I feel like that's a big component to at least rock and roll and particularly to punk rock. And I will say there was a point of Rod Stewart where he was actually dangerous. And it's kind of interesting to hear that older stuff. Okay. So let's see, we're going to put on a trailer, and I'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Chris and I like comics.
By the way, speaking of the devil, this is a testimonial by our previous guest. Okay.
Hi, my name's Chris and I like comics. I want to talk about this comic for a second here. I just got this in. I ordered it direct from my local comic shop through Diamond Distributing. It's Joshua Kemble's Jacob's Apartment. I really enjoyed this book. There's all kinds of comics out there, let's be honest. There's fun comics, there's superhero comics, there's young adult comics, there's adventure comics for kids. There's so many different things under the planet. But there's also an entire subgenre of alternative books. Real life, real world depictions in comic book form. Situations that happen to each and every one of us. And this is a fine example of that. If you get a chance, order this book from your local comic shop. You won't be disappointed. I can't sing its praises high enough. Okay? Check it out. Jacob's Apartment by Joshua Kemble.
Okay, and I have to play one more trailer because I still need to get a coffee refill and all that fun stuff. So here is the trailer for Jacob's Apartment. There it is. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, that was the Jacob's Apartment trailer. I'd encourage you guys to check that out, just for fun, just to like amp things up. We're gonna put on that stupid theme song that I made one more time, and I'll do a re-intro for anybody who's joining. Welcome. to Joshua Kemble's live stream. 275. We're at like the midpoint. We've done thumbnails. We have rocked and rolled. We had Christopher Runciman on, which I encourage you guys to check out. Christopher Runciman. I did a little squeal on the guitar on that part. I'm pretty proud of it. So, we're going to basically proceed to go into the morning, getting closer than noon, and we're going to work on our rough for page 78 of Not Death and Love, the Prince of Natural Stories of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. If you are joining, and you haven't yet, we're about almost 2 hours into the stream, so hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live, and hopefully this theme music will kind of amp you up when we're doing this live stream. So right now we're going to get into breaking down the thumbnails to a rough, the excitement of cartoon crime. Thank you for joining, and I appreciate you guys in chat. I hope you guys are having a fun morning. Okay. I think that works nicely. That's like a nice little shot in the arm. Okay. So I'm wearing my beanie, and just a little I'm going to give you guys a little hint. When I'm live streaming and wearing a beanie, it's often because I have the wildest hair on the planet. My hair will hold on a second. My hair is like a chia pet that's out of control. It's been overfed. Do you guys remember the chia pet commercials? Vic is all shocked. Welcome, Vic. He said, Josh, streaming when people are awake? What is going on? Just popping in. Have a great day. Awesome, Vic. I hope the comics are coming along well, man. Vic is a pretty, not this is not a diss. It's a truth. Vic is a young cartoonist that I think has a lot of potential. And he's starting comics and taking comics way more seriously than a lot of us did at the age he's at. And I think there's going to be some really cool stuff from Vic coming in the future, as long as he stays true to it. So anyhow, Vic, appreciate you listening, and I hope your comics are coming along well. Scott was saying the music levels are pretty high compared to your voice. Okay, we will dial that in. I want the music pumped. So in reality, we might have to do this. I think this works a little better. Yeah. Okay. I'll keep that dialed in, and we'll improve it. How is Scott? That's the only downside of like meeting up with Paul and Jim today, is that we need Scott and Corey there. Scott, I don't know if you're down to drive from Arizona to Huntington Beach today, but if you are, we'll happily have you. I'm joking. I think if that were the case, I think Scott would be there tomorrow morning when we're all returned home. So, but you will be missed, Scott. It's not quite an Artcasters meetup without you, sir. Okay. Yeah, Scott said better. So what I need to remember when I cue music is I'm going to have it at half volume, and that way it kind of doesn't overwhelm my volume. All right, let's see here. We are going to... But I'm glad I'm dialing that in. I feel like we do need some like exciting music for this stream to be exciting. Yeah, Scott said I was in California last weekend. I can't do 2 weeks in a row. I know, and last weekend it was kind of a bummer because there was no way I was going to be able to get out there. But give us a bigger heads up next time, Scott, and I'll meet up with you. Let's see here. I still do think we should do a trip. Like we should do like an Idaho thing. Hang out with Mr. Corey Kerr. do all sorts of weird stuff that doesn't fit my curmudgeon lifestyle. Like kayaking. Because Corey's like a much more outdoorsy guy than I am. I'm more like an indoorsy, the light is killing my eyes kind of guy. All right. So we have our panel layouts kind of worked out here. I can kind of keep the notes to the side. We'll move these notes over, and then we're going to start doing our roughs. I don't know why what the heck is going on here? There's like a shortcut on my key that is stuck or something. Why is... Okay, we might have to close this out and reopen it. Page 78. Sometimes that will solve the issue. Because for some reason, when I was just trying to move something... Oh, that's bizarre. Now it's stuck on save. Did I just undo the border work? Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. My computer just did something really wacky where we have to redo our border work. Okay. That's reasonable. What is going on here? Okay, I'm going to close out and not save this time. And then let's see what is going on here with my computer. Ah, okay, good. We're in an okay place. Okay. So, we're going to start working on our thumbnails. We're just going to move the notes over, if I can. Why does that keep locking? Oh, okay. I see what happened there. Auto select was on. I never turn on auto select, but the one time I do. Okay, so what we're going to do is I want to pull my Grand Theater reference, and then we'll start working on a tighter drawing. But before that, I should probably... I was about to make the mistake that I've made sometimes where I forget that I'm working digitally, and these little crappy thumbnails that I've done can be like a best friend to me. And work as like a little sub layer that's already set up. Like it's like a pre-sketch under my sketch. And I should not forget, because that overall gesture of the thumbnail is going to save me a crap load of work on the final. So what we're doing right now is taking a copy of the thumbnails, and then we're going to frame them under. I'll turn off the visibility of my notes. And this is... I know this looks like just gibberish at this point, but trust me, these little like thumbnails. Well, anybody who does art, you know, especially commercial art, will understand the value of having these little crappy thumbnails underneath. Because it's getting rid of a lot of the pre-drawing. A lot of the early work is already there, which is great. How is everybody doing this morning? I'd love to hear what you guys are working on. And Scott, by the way, if you want to, you are more than welcome to hop on stream. If you want me to send you a link, I can. I think you already have like a permalink. Scott can pretty much... I will just say this. Mr. Circland, if you are ever watching a live stream of mine, you have pretty much like full authority to hop on and join the stream whenever you damn well please. Pretty much you and Corey can hop on whenever you guys want. I do plan on streaming for like another hour and a half. That'll give me enough time to kind of get going. My hope is to hopefully have the roughs finished by then. And what's weird is I might actually end up being okay to do that, to get the roughs finished on this crazy little thumbnail train I have here. I know this doesn't look like much, but it will come in handy in a second. Some of this is literally just stick figures, but powerful stick figures. Nice. Scott said, I might hop on in a bit. I'm working on a comic, but I need something for breakfast soon. I get it. This is an unusually early stream for me. I usually am just hating existence at this point in the day. This is when I wake up and I hate the world. I don't know if I've made it clear, but I'm not like much of a morning person in general. So for me to be doing a morning stream that's at like a reasonable hour is an unusual thing for my personality. I think I've mentioned this on stream before. A lot of people don't know this. There's actually a proverb in the Bible about not greeting people in the morning because they'll hate you. That's pretty much the premise of it. It's kind of I'll look it up in a second. It's one of the funniest things that I think all people should appreciate. It's that even back in the day in like the Bible's like book of wisdom or whatever, ways to live your life, one of them is don't greet people loudly in the morning because they'll hate you. That's me paraphrasing. But what's funny is how much I'm not paraphrasing too inaccurately. Like I'll read the actual thing in a second. It's pretty hilarious. I feel like if somebody's going to memorize scripture, that's a good one to memorize. Okay. Got our blue lines. Got everything. We're all about prep here on the Joshua Kemble live stream. On the Kremlin is a big fan of preparation. All right. I think we're in position. We're in position here, guys. Okay. Let's find our reference of not Bosco. I can't wait to get into those posters, though. That's going to be so fun. I need to find the theater. Again. This is not the close-up I want yet. There's one that's like an outside shot of the entire thing. There it is. That's what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and put this over here, and then we'll kind of use that to establish our establishing shot. View extras. I'm going to just call this channel 1 ref because that'll be helpful. Okay, so we have our notes. Here we have our thumbs. I think that's where that thumbnail joke that Christopher ended up using from our stream, where it says there's like a bit that I think Frank Salazar and I were goofing off about. And I think Christopher was on that stream. But it's where somebody was saying, hey, guess who has 2 thumbs and something, something. And we were like thinking it would be funny if somebody just at the end was like, how dare you, sir? I have no thumbs. There's something funny about like taking an expectation and then subverting it. That's very funny in comedy, where you set up an expectation and then you subvert the expectation. even in a dad joke like that, But Christopher turned that into a brilliant comic called "Who Has No Thumbs in a Thumbless World," or "Who Has Thumbs in a Thumbless World." I can't remember, but it's pretty hilarious. Okay, so we're gonna do our little theater entrance here. We'll just kind of keep it loose because again, this is just a rough, not a thumbnail at this point. What we're gonna do. But try to keep it nice and loose. Do 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 do. Philip was saying that sounds like a title in a Beatles song. Having thumbs in a thumbless world. I could see that. That sounds like a Ringo Starr song for sure. Where it's like, welcome to the sea that I'd like to be. An octopus's garden with a... One of the funniest things, have you guys watched the Get Back documentary? Where it's like the Peter Jackson like re-edit of all the Get Back footage. It's on Disney Plus. There's a really funny like dynamic that's going on with George Harrison and Ringo kind of in the background. So you have like all this Paul and John Lennon like serious stuff going on, and in the meantime, like kind of in the background, like Ringo's kind of like, I've got this little bit for a song, and George Harrison's like, well, let's write it, let's make it happen, and like sits at him with the piano, and they basically develop like one of the funny Ringo Starr songs, And I think it is Octopus's Garden that they develop on that, where it's like, no. Like it's funny. It's like Ringo having this wacky idea, and then George Harrison being like, no, this is brilliant. It's brilliant. Let's make it happen. And as much as people clown on Ringo, like, dude was a good drummer. I mean, he wasn't like show-offy like a Zeppelin type drummer, but he was very good. And part of why he was good was like he showed a lot of restraint as a drummer, which I think is actually, it's kind of like an artist that can draw really well, but they show restraint like in their detail. They're not gonna go nuts on every panel's not a solo, but that makes the solos really stand out. So as much as, Ringo's kind of a goofball and wrote some really goofy songs, he's also like, arguably, I think he gets too little credit as a drummer because he wasn't doing like flashy stuff like The Who or something like that. All right, so we're going to have our kind of weird blocked out windows here. Just doing a quick sketch of this thing. I want to have a handsome cab. I think I have references of a handsome cab. I wonder if I can find them. Because we had like a page a while ago that had like a cabbie kind of thing. I think it was pretty early on. Like it might have been page 8 or something. Might have been earlier than that. Maybe all the way back to like page 3. No, it was page... Let's see if we can find the handsome cab references that we looked up. Looking for, I'm perusing through references to find an accurate carriage. Because I don't want to redo all the research that already went into. Like, the nice thing about being this far into the book is that like there's a lot of research that's already been done. It doesn't need to be rehashed or retreaded. I feel like that's going to be a little bit later in the process. Oh, so I could probably just find the page. That might be a better route than trying to kind of guess by looking at the reference photos that I knew it. Okay, I've come across the references we already have. Although it looks like the ones I'm looking at are from page 35, so these are that carriage. I want to do earlier than that. So I need to look at, this is irritating. Sorry guys, I know this isn't the most exciting stuff. I'm basically looking through off screen JPEGs of the completed work so that I can find a map, like basically find out which specific page I had already done references for handsome cabs on. I think that would be actually a little further along the road. I think there's a point where I have them taking a cab. Where was the handsome cab business? They had an open carriage on like page 35. This would predate that. I think it's page... We're finding it, guys. We're finding it. I think it's page, like, it's in the tens. Where we were doing all the handsome cab research. It might be page 7 or page 6. Page 5. That's it. Okay. So now we need to find if I have page 5 references. Don't. I didn't save the handsome cab references. Do we have rough? Interesting. So here's some page 5 roughs. There it is, handsome cab. Yay. Let's see if we can grab that handsome cab. Because I knew there was like a previous page where we had found a handsome cab. Okay. So this one we're just in our heads going to like draw the other side of this cab. Okay. So let's get back to our rough. And then, yeah, I'm curious what everybody's up to this morning. It's a Saturday morning, you know? It's almost 10 o'clock. What's everybody up to? How are you guys doing? So I'm going to draw like the backside of this kind of handsome cab, which will have like probably like a guy with a hat or something. There's a guy with a hat. That's definitely a part of the handsome cab business. But I'm going to have like a guy kind of here who's holding the reins or whatever for a cab. And we're going to go ahead and have him kind of sitting on like a bench. Oh. Whoa. Cancel. There's something that got pressed here. Are you guys still seeing me? Did I go off screen there? Philip says you doing laundry. Nice. Did you get your new washer thing? I think you already answered that. I feel like you talked about that on a stream recently, but I do think it's funny there's been this theme of washing machines with you. I'm also curious, what do you guys think of the new theme? Scott gave good feedback that it was a little too loud. He was like, this music these kids are listening to is too loud. With the rock and roll, the loud music. I believe that's how he said it. These children on their live streams with their rock and roll music. That's my British drunken gentleman voice. Do you believe that's going to be a thing? I feel like there's this era of like British gentlemen who's had like one too many, rum. It's probably not even rum. What would they be drinking? What would a British gentleman is gonna speak like this? What would their drink of choice be? It would definitely be in like a glass container. Potentially it might be whiskey, but I would think it would be something more British. More British. I think I should do an entire live stream with that voice at some point in the future. Perhaps I'll try to do that with Paul Pate and Jim today. Is like we'll have like a little British drunken British gentleman talkings. Yeah, I guess a Guinness might work for that. But I think it would be funny to do a whole stream like that, where it's like, you see the thing with comics, you guys. This is going to be the comics with the things that you do in them. I'm here all day, guys. I'm here all day. Well, not really, actually. I'm here till about 11:30, and then I gotta wrap because I gotta get in a car and drive a long distance to meet Mr. Pate and Mr. Luhan. I'm trying to find that. Where's my ticket booth? We gotta get the ticket booth in there. Right now we're just working on the rough. Where is this ticket booth again? There it is. There's my ticket booth. So we're going to have like an indication of the ticket booth under the thing here. Well, it'll probably just be the front side of it. The front side of the ticket booth for the peoples. Nice. Philip said, oh, I should join in on that. My family is half British. I can do a full or proper accent. Nice. Philip, if you want to hop on stream, man, you're more than welcome. Just working on roughs. Just roughing the roughs. I'm going to call this panel 2 as a reference too, just to keep my references nice and in order. Okay, I might want to do a little bit of research super quick. Do the research, man. We have kind of blocked out our thumbnail for our rough for panel 1. I want to add a little bit of lighting to it, just so we get a little bit of mood. You forgot to add the lighting to it, so have the mood. The mood of the blow. There's like a funny, I don't know, old British gentleman drinking voice, And usually it would be like a parliamentary procedure kind of thing, where it'd be like, my dear madam, you believe... I think there's that like classic Churchill joke. You guys have probably heard it before, where there was a disagreement in and I don't know, it's like a classic story about Churchill where there's like a disagreement, and this lady was saying like, "You sir are a drunk," and he's like, "I may be drunk, madam, but in the morning I'll be sober, and you will still be ugly." It's a literal Churchill quote. All right, let's see here, guys. Okay, let's so if I garbled that too much, so the bit, just to repeat that, was like Churchill's like kind of making a point but sounding a little tipsy during this like high level meeting, and this lady goes, "Mr. Churchill, I can't take what you're saying seriously because you're clearly very drunk." And he responds with, obviously in a less garbled way, just in case you guys didn't hear it, "I may be drunk, madame, but in the morning I'll be sober, and you will still be ugly." That was his that was his Churchill barb. Nice. Philip said he's running back and forth between loads. I just did some laundry yesterday, actually. How is the washer doing? You have to let us know. I like this one too. Philip said, "Have you heard about the woman that told Churchill that if she were her husband, she'd drink poison?" And he said, he'd replied, "Dear lady, if you were my wife, I'd drink it." So good. Jim was saying, "I'm driving to Huntington Beach right now. Can you give me a weather and traffic report?" Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's clear skies, sunny days. I have no idea what the weather is like, Jim. But I'm going to be heading on that drive in about an hour or so. Speaking of, we've finished a rough, and I'm going to put on a trailer. All right, so I'll be right back. Here is the trailer for Jacob's apartment. I'm going to get a refill of coffee, and then we're going to do our ticket booth for panel 2. But the roughs are coming along pretty good. I just have to find the trailer, the right trailer. Okay, let's watch this. Speaking.
Hi, my name is Phil Chandler. I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and cartoonist. Today, though, however, I want to tell you about a graphic novel I picked up recently called Jacob's Apartment. This book was both written and beautifully illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It is the story of a doomed romance that causes the main character to question his beliefs and his faith, while he's also going through other tragedies in his life. Every page has been illustrated by hand and digitally colored with painstaking detail. It is an emotional story that causes you to think and even question things in your own life. And while the story is a tragedy, it is one that I was completely entertained by and I highly recommend. You can currently find this on Amazon or even check in with your local bookstore and see if you can order it. And while you're at it, you can also check out my Instagram at Phil Chandler Arts and also my YouTube channel by the same name, Phil Chandler Arts. And go buy Jacob's Apartment.
All right, we're back. Jim said, "My favorite Winston Churchill quote is, 'I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.'" I don't know if that was a Churchill quote. I'm sure the internet will say that. Philip's like, "I don't know if that was Churchill." My favorite Churchill quote is, "It's time to get these snakes off this plane." I think that was my favorite Churchill quote. Yeah, that was the very censored version. And it's my live stream, so let's just say it, guys. It's time to get these snakes off this motherfucking plane. That's right. It's my live stream. I went into work mode and was like, I can't say the F word at work. This is not good. All right. Okay. So we have, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to draw the next panel. Just for fun, I'm on this kick. I'm really enjoying this little theme. I haven't heard anything in chat about this theme, but I have it properly situated. So we're going to do another little mid intro because it's fun. All right, let's get pumped up, guys. Oh, okay, let's try it now. All right, you're on Joshua Kemble's live stream 275, episode 275. We're working on roughs for my graphic novel that is called Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And we are on panel 2 of it. If you guys are listening, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications when you're about to go live. We're in it. If you have comments or things you'd like to share or talk about regarding comics, there's a chat. Participate. All right. And that's our little music thing that I'm gonna overplay the hell out of that. I love it. Philip was saying, I think that was Roosevelt. Was Roosevelt the guy who said kick ass and bubblegum? I don't know. Philip was saying, whoa, so millennial. Don't insult me. I'm the last of Generation X by most markers put like my birthday is like the very end of Generation X. But I am that weird straddling millennial guy where it's like I'm like right there, almost millennial, almost Gen X. I'm an in-betweener. Okay, so we're gonna do. Oh crap, we have to do some research, guys. I need to look up what a ticket booth. Let me look, because weirdly enough, I haven't looked at my phone. I almost wonder if. Okay. Dee Dee is badass. She sent some Bosco pictures, but we didn't get. I was hoping that Dee Dee might have done the work for me. Let's look up. Let's look on the interwebs real quick. I have to be able to share the window. Okay, let me share. Let's do present, share screen, and let's do our sharing of a window, which will be, oh, come on. It's a Chrome tab that I want to share. The new tab. Okay, there we go. So we're on Google, guys. Can you see that? And we're going to search for Jim Lujan network. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you guys know, but like Jim Lujan, according to the internet, is a millionaire. I just thought you should know that. His net worth is in the millions. But no, what we're going to look up is Victorian ticket booth operator. Maybe? I want to see what... you know what? That's a train booth, though, but I like that. I almost feel like you should be like a train booth kind of outfit. Let's look up theater ticket booth operator. Maybe we can get more specific. Hey, that works. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it for a costume. Again, like this part does not need to be 110% accurate, because just needs to be about like 80% believable. That's actual percentages, guys. I'd say I'm like 70% certain of that. What would your percentages be on that? What are your guys' percentages? What's your favorite percentage? Let me know. Okay. Download.jpg. That's a really disturbing file name. Okay, I'm going to close that out. We got our ticket booth operator guy, like what he's going to look like. I'm going to call this, we'll call this panel 2, dude. We'll have that up here. Okay, we have our ticket booth. We have our booth operator, what we want him to look like. We need to have our little entrance from panel 1 reference, but probably a different one. This one will probably be more straight on. Let's see. I know they're here. Yeah. By the way, my Churchill quote is from Rowdy Piper in They Live. Yeah, he's saying it's like a little bit 1900s-ish. It kind of is, but I think the hat and stuff kind of works because the bellhop that we looked up, I think they'd have a similar outfit. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that work. We're not actually going to, we'll Victorianize it a little bit more. But I need to find my reference of the front again. So we're really not focused on him yet. There's a couple things that I'm going to have to look up here too, which is I want to look at Elizabeth Barrett Browning stuff again, just to find a different dress for her. But I don't want to deviate too much from existing dresses that we knew she had. There it is. Okay, this is going to be, we'll label this as panel 2 theater. Okay, that's going to be helpful too. Okay, there's 2 things that I might still need to look up. Philip was saying, what's the time period? I believe it's around 1860 right now. Okay, so let's find... I'm going to find just a little bit of fashion. I think that this will do for like the middle guy without the purse, I think would be kind of equivalent to what Robert's wearing. I think that I need to find probably ones that we've already looked up of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And I'm going to look through these to see if there's a dress that's a little more pretty. And I think we'll do this one, because this looks more like a I'm going out to the theater kind of dress. Okay. Whew. We have all this visual stimuli that's going to help with the thumbnail. And again, some of this may not come into play, and some of it will. And we'll have our Robert Browning here too. Look at all this visual chaos going on here. Okay, let's get into the rough. So Robert, it's going to be a side view. He's wearing this kind of hat. So we're going to go ahead and draw Robert. Robert's escorting Elizabeth. He's going to be on the left here. He's got his crazy Abe Lincoln style beard. He had like the Abe Lincoln going on his beard, which was pretty rad, if I do say so myself. He's going to be wearing this tall hat. Look at that. Okay, so the brim kind of bends down. Okay, that's good to see. So the brim of his hat's going to be kind of bending down a little bit arched brim. He's brimming with excitement, ladies and gentlemen. What do you guys think of the new theme? Do you guys like the theme? The theme song? Philip said, I did a search myself. Ushers in the Victorian era had much more frilly looking outfits. Frilly is a bit exaggerated, but still very dressy. Okay, send me what you've got, Philip. Send me what you've got. Just Facebook it to me. This is the beauty of the internet. Like, I want to see what you saw. And also, it saves me the work. So I'm being lazy. Okay, interesting. We're going to do this kind of collar. I want the collar to be actually, ones Robert's been wearing so far are usually much more kind of high. But I think his collar here is going to be more of one of those shorter collars. That hat is way too tall too. It's a little too wide as well. So we're going to do a little bit slimmer of a hat. Okay. And let's see here. They have a little bit of puffy sleeves on this style. It's going to be interesting. There's an alarm going off. I don't know if you had something. Did you have something cooking or something? Okay. And definitely like lower kind of sleeves. Like the sleeves aren't going as high. Okay, so and he's gonna have his arm out, and he's like ushering Elizabeth in tow, basically. So his arm will be here. He's gonna have Elizabeth there. This is an interesting jacket. I kind of like it. It's got like a kind of hemline there. So I'm kind of digging this interesting jacket. And Elizabeth is going to be here, and she's wearing her outfit. So I kind of want to bring that Elizabeth thing up so we can kind of see that. Oh, where is the Elizabeth thing? So I'm going to bring that over here, and then we're going to do our rough here with Elizabeth. Her hair is... That is definitely not Elizabeth Barrett Browning, by the way, that reference. But I like that dress. Maybe it is, but it doesn't look like anything I've seen of Elizabeth. I think that's an accidental... Like, I think this has happened before where that's like the queen or something. But I like her head being a little bit Like she's kind of going to be looking at Robert just a little bit here. And we're going to have her wearing this kind of shawl thing that's going to kind of wrap around a little bit and then taper down. And I'm going to move her over a little bit. So that her arm can be kind of more resting on Robert. On Robert's arm. And then they are both walking, and she's going to have her, I think this kind of pleats in and then kind of bows out because they have these ridiculously wide dresses. Long sleeves very often. Okay. And there we have a little bit of that. Her head is like insane right now, though, so we'll fix that up. Go ahead and increase the size of her head just a tiny bit so that she doesn't have like a insanely tall neck. And there we go. Let's turn off all of these things we don't need now. So we have our, where are the references? Okay, we don't need Robert's thing. We don't need this for now. We don't need this. We do need this. We don't need that. We do need that. Robert. Okay. So now we're getting a little closer. Jim said, speaking of theme songs, Mick Jagger does the theme song for Gary Oldman's show, Slow Horses, and it sounds like a 1964 Rolling Stones song. It's very cool. Nice. I like the Rolling Stones quite a bit. I think my favorite Rolling Stones song, now I want to hear in the chats, what is your favorite Rolling Stone song? But I think my favorite is probably Gimme Shelter. It's hard to beat that. So we're going to have our kind of ticket booth here. That's going to be in the background. Probably have like some filigree or something on it. And we're getting closer to 11, guys, so I might just do thumbnails or roughs for 2 of these, and then maybe finish them up tonight after the epic hangout. There's going to be a ticket booth guy here. Dee Dee said, I sent you out a batch of my latest stickers, Jim. Nice. Dee Dee makes really cool stickers. They're very awesome. Oh my goodness, you guys. You won't believe this. We were joined by the Runza bomber before, and now we are being bombed by Scott Circlin. Hello, Mr. Circlin.
Hold on. I forgot I got this playing.
Wait, I want to talk just so it sounds like chaos on your end, where you're going to be hearing like blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
like,
I'm good. I forgot I had the stream playing. So
I was hoping I could exploit that longer and really like just make things sound like an echoey inferno in your place. How's it going?
Not too bad. I had to run up to the vet and get a prescription for my dog. That's why it took me so long to get here. But
Oh, nice. How's your dog doing? Sick?
She's doing all right.
Or-
She's had every once in a while she has like seizures, and then I think something happened with the last one where she's like sore. So like she'll after she's sleeping or laying still for a while, she'll get up and she'll like yelp. So we've given her some pain medication for that. But,
Oh my goodness. This is straight from the Philip. Philip Chandler sent me a reference that he found. Look at that.
Sweet. Crowdsourcing.
I mean, the problem is either way, I'm kind of cheating a bit because like it's Italy, and so it's like this will be like there are some times, not many on this comic, but there's a couple times where I'm going to take a little bit of liberty. This is one of them. But I like this. There's actually a dude here that has like a 3-prong thing, and that's probably what I'll use. Is like this guy here.
Oh,
like this dude. Yeah. Anyhow. Wow, that's cool. Is this more of that comic you've been working on?
Yeah, this is another like 2-page comic featuring like somebody in the cybersecurity space. Not super exciting, at least not yet. Eventually they become a hero. Let's see if I can find I just got all these flatted out. Let's see. Where's the other one? Yeah. So now that they're all flatted, that's good. Now I can actually start coloring some of this stuff in.
It's looking good.
Yeah, not too bad.
It's kind of a cool gig, honestly. You guys sort of created that out of nowhere.
Yeah, we're trying to create it bigger than it. Right now it's just kind of this one thing. We'd like to get, something more than just these 2-pagers, and hopefully bigger projects where I don't have to illustrate it myself, or I can hire somebody to do the illustration and just write it and stuff.
Well, it's funny too, because it's like, I think organically through our network, you have like access to like 50 billion cartoonists too. So
that is true. That is true.
If you needed to do something in more of like a Disney style, like hire Philip, like.
Yeah, I mean,
holy crap.
Well, I mean, I'd like to get to the point where we get so many of these and people, we can offer like different styles and stuff. Nice. And,
yeah.
But
we could just have all the art casters just quit their day jobs. It could be called the art casters, our little crew of. Speaking of, I'm meeting up with Jim and Paul. So if you want me to drop off a message, you want me to give them a message they can't refuse,
Yeah. Let me get my horse head out of the fridge.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely tell them I said hi. Yeah, it'd be cool to do that.
Yeah, we got to do a meetup again sometime. It's tough with my schedule right now, because like it's just give and take. It just happened that this weekend it kind of works for me, where it's like, yeah, there's other times where it's just like when we're on crunch mode, like I don't know, organizing schedules and stuff. It's hard to make happen.
So what were you? I missed what because I was out and about. What were you talking about before I interrupted everything?
Let's see. Well, Christopher and I were having a really long convo about just like style changing and like the ability to kind of adapt your style to the medium as opposed to being locked in like a specific style.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like honestly most artists I know can kind of do that. At least most artists I know who do it professionally, because I even with you, like you can adapt to different styles for sure.
To a certain extent. I'm not unfortunately not to the point of like our late great friend Vincent, but yeah, I mean he was kind of a master of like adopting different styles and stuff.
I've debated with whether we should like do a stream about Vincent, because it's like he's just such a badass cartoonist, it'd be fun to do like a memorial kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know like how much of that's like appropriate,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's, unfortunately I found out about that like months after. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, but I guess it's never too late to appreciate.
Yeah. That was a little heartbreaking though, because like
Yeah.
I just felt like I don't know Vincent. Like I didn't know him too well, you know, but he was a very inspirational guy. Like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
really
For
interesting.
anyone that's wondering who we're talking about, Vincent DePorter, who passed away a little while ago. We just kind of found out when I went to a comic signing. And he's been a guest on Orchesters I'd say at least 3 times.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And each episode was like really inspiring, like just very, very prolific artist. And like I think of the guests we had, probably one of the best like just skill wise,
Oh
one of the
yeah,
best
no
cartoonists.
doubt.
I mean, he could like so he worked on a lot of the SpongeBob comics,
Yeah,
but
and
then he could
he's
go
like
from SpongeBob to like straight up like Watchmen style, like it's just
yeah,
it like
and totally
any
on
style.
model with SpongeBob and
Yeah.
he's done about SpongeBob, Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what else, but yeah, a lot of that stuff. And then he's a Franco-Belgian artist, so he started in Belgium doing comic albums and stuff like that, and just he had his own thing going over there. And
Yeah, graphic
unfortunately,
novel series
you
about
start
ants.
over there where people kind of appreciate comics and stuff, and then you come out here to the US. It's I mean, it's not quite the same. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. He had some really interesting stories that he told on Artcasters too about that contrast between how France, treats their cartoonists to like compared to the US. It's kind of stark and depressing to hear, But yeah, it's funny too because I think I don't know if you've ever read Carnet de Voyage, the sketchbook series by Craig Thompson.
no, I haven't.
It's really cool. It's like just a little published sketchbook, like right after Blankets was released and kind of blew up. And it talks about a lot of his travels, like through France and through different areas in Europe. And there's a scene in it where Craig Thompson is going to be a guest at like a thing in France. And he ends up being like, they have like a fashion spread of him in a magazine.
Oh, wow.
Like, because it's like this amazing cartoonist Craig Thompson coming to visit France, like, and it's like he was on like the news stations and like it's like this giant thing, like this cartoonist. And it was funny because he wrote his observations of just the weird like juxtaposition with the reverence that they hold cartoonists in France compared to like the US, where it's like, who's this guy? Oh, he makes comics. Are those for kids? And they'd just be like, well, oh, so you must, do you like Calvin and Hobbes? It's like that kind of thing. To where in France, they're like, artiste visits, here's a full page spread of the artist. This is the clothing they're wearing. And it's like, wait, what? Like,
I'd have been so caught off guard because I'm pretty much always just shorts and a t-shirt and like, yeah, you got to give me a little heads up.
Yeah. Hey, Philip, thank you for that reference, though. That was a badass reference. Okay, I'm gonna disappear for like 2 seconds.
All right.
I think I got another panel in me before I have to head out. So,
okay.
But do you want to play a trailer? You want to talk to stream? What would you prefer?
We could do either. I could let people know about my video that's going to be out.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah, you should talk about that because if you guys watching are not subscribed to Scott Strickland, well, Scott, tell them what's coming. And I'll be right back.
So if you aren't aware, I was on YouTube for like, well, seriously I've been on YouTube for I don't know how many years, probably maybe 12, I don't know, but seriously for like the last maybe 9 years, you're posting pretty much at least every day, and then I don't know. I just got to the point where it's like, I felt like I've said everything I needed to say. So I took a break. And while I was on that break, I'm like, I love doing YouTube. It just, I need to do something different. So I decided I kind of was re-strategizing what I was going to do. And in that time that I've been away, which is about 3 months now, I've really kind of hit on what I want to do. And I've been working on it behind the scenes. And that first video and kind of this direction that I'm going. I'm going to kind of premiere that next Tuesday. So definitely, be on the lookout for that, because I'm super excited about it. Way more highly edited, way more engaging, and hopefully still going to connect with the existing comic fans, even though it's not all necessarily comics. It's kind of comics inspired, but it'll be fun, a little more fun, a little more interactive. And
Nice.
my goal is to actually, I love doing this. I've been doing it so long that I've kind of picked up a lot of things, and now it's like putting those into practice, because I think I can really make this. My goal is to actually make this like an actual income for me, and have fun doing it. So we'll see. Well, that's the goal. So, but yeah, definitely check it out. And I'm really nervous and excited to release this first video and kind of gauge kind of the responses and see how it does. And the good thing is, even if it doesn't do good right off the bat, I think these new videos, they're a lot more evergreen. And like my biggest video that I've ever done, it took a while for that to like kick in. And this video has a similar theme. It's about like stickers and things like that, making stickers and stuff like that. And there's more to it than that. So I'm hoping that eventually it'll do pretty well, and
Yeah,
my goal
and
is just catapult this whole thing. So we'll see.
I mean, the little sneak peek that, our little art crew got to see, I think everybody pretty much will testify to the fact that these are going to be extremely leveled up videos. So you guys should definitely be following Scott, just to like follow him on this journey. And honestly, like his Patreon's really great too for that. We got Holly Brown listening. How's it going, Holly?
Yeah, I didn't see. Holly keeps changing her little icon, so I didn't.
Nice.
I didn't recognize that was her. The last time she had a little purple guy.
Yeah, but she said y'all streaming during the day. That's cool. You're always welcome to hop on the stream too, Holly, if you want. I think we're Facebook friends, so I could send you a message with the link if you want. No pressure. And then we got Philip sent me I wanted to give a thanks to that. Also, Dee Dee said she had to go to lunch, but to tell Paul to wear pants today. Yeah, I will.
That Paul.
Yeah, he's like we're gonna be hanging out in public, so we definitely are gonna need to convince him to wear some pants. Which, by the way, I haven't promoted Paul's stuff. Scott, have you read these yet? The Detective Perez series?
I haven't. No, I know. I know.
Yeah. Well, no, I get it. It's everybody's got their books, but like this was a pleasant surprise. It's like you want to really enjoy what your friends are doing, and Paul is such a great guy that when I picked these up, I was like really, really happy with how good they are. Twice as much because I know the guy. But it's like, it was definitely one of those things of like, you read through these books and this is just solid cartooning, like solid writing, solid cartooning. If you're into detective fiction, you guys should check out the Detective Perez series. I'm going to bring my 2 copies and have him sign them when I meet him. As nerdy as that is, I like to have friends' artwork. Holly said she's changed her icon.
Yeah, I didn't mean that she like changes it all the time. It's just since the last time we saw her in the stream, it was different.
She changed
I
like
recently changed mine
times.
too. I recently changed mine too, so I can't really talk. So I think we've changed ours about the same amount of times.
I'm just a stubborn bastard, so I'm going to stick with mine until Corey Kerr stops complaining about it. He very justifiably has pointed out that I have a very obnoxious banner. Which you can see right now. It's literally covering half the screen. So it's a little out there. But she said she got bored. I get that though. Like, I mean, Scott was saying too, he rebranded, I've definitely changed logos throughout the years. Feels like I've changed them a lot. But then when I think about the math of like, how often I've changed it, it's not that much,
Yeah, it's been a while because I went through and changed everything. I went through and kind of redid the website and everything, updated all that, and then I'm like, and then I got to do Instagram because I want to start. My goal is to start because I've created some shorts and stuff, and also I want to post those to Instagram and TikTok and stuff. So, which I don't have anything on TikTok yet, other than just my domain parked or my name parked. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I just don't know if it like TikTok and Instagram. I mean, it's just as far as I just don't know if that's where to build an audience, because I don't think, unlike like long form content like YouTube, I think people just kind of scroll through and they don't really pay attention to who's who. You could probably ask them half the people they're following, or like probably 90% of the people they're following, who they are, and they won't know who they are or take the time to support them anyway. So, but I don't know.
I've heard that about like I've known some people who've done TikToks and they've had like million view videos on there, and yet they can't translate it to like one book sale.
Yeah.
And it's like, so from what I've heard about TikTok for like generating just eyeballs, it's good, but like the translation to like a supportive audience is pretty tough.
Yeah. Cause they were showing, I was watching Colin and Samir, who are I've been doing a lot of YouTube research, watching other creators and see what they do, successful creators and stuff. And they were talking about at VidCon, they were talking to Mr. Beast manager, and they were talking about how, these TikTokers, they've got all these followers, and they said they'll show up to like VidCon and they'll have this huge like thing set up for a line, like all the what do you call them, that kind of direct the crowd with the ropes and stuff. This huge thing set up for them, and like no one's there. Like,
no, it's insane.
And they've got millions of subscribers or followers on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, like if you think about it, like Mr. Beast is like the biggest YouTuber I think around, right? I don't think there's anybody bigger at this point, and yet like
at least not in the US.
Yeah, but his subscriber count compared to like a TikTok account is nothing. And but it's like, but if Mr. Beast shows up somewhere, he's gonna have like half a city there. It's like, and so like the
took over a whole mall.
A content creator I like following who's a little controversial in some areas is Destiny. I think he's hilarious and interesting and weird, and always provides interesting drama and content and debate stuff. He does a lot of political debate stuff on YouTube, but he's had like TikTokers who have like million followers on his streams, and they're always weirded out because he's doing a live stream and he'll have like, at minimum, like if it's a dead stream, he'll have like 5,000 people watching live, and it's like, they get nothing like that kind of live stream engagement, And so it's like, it's a bizarre thing to like see the difference between TikTok and YouTube. I think YouTube still has like more pull. I think Twitch might have a similar kind of thing.
I was wondering, I was going to talk to Corey about some idea, because I'm going to be live streaming every other week. And I want to really up my live stream game and stuff like that. So I want to figure out different cameras and sound effects and all that kind of stuff. Nice. But so I was going to pick Corey's brain on some of that stuff. But I was wondering, it probably makes sense to also push that to Twitch. It's just, there's so much stuff on my plate. Like, I gotta update. Originally what I was talking about was I gotta update all these different and then I was like, and I wasn't going to bother with Twitter. And then I was watching a YouTube thing, and they were talking about all these from some people on Twitter who are like professional thumbnail artists. Yeah. I'm trying to update my thumbnail game and stuff like that. So I'm like, I got to follow these people to try to learn from them. So I guess I got to get back on Twitter. And when I was there, I'm like, I guess I got to update my profile. It's been so long. I don't even remember my password. I had to reset my password. And so I don't know. Well, I'll start off and I'll see what I can keep up with.
I think you're going to, I mean, I think just the effort you're putting in, I think it's inevitably going to get returns. Holly was saying, I got like 30K people on my TikTok for my laser stuff. It's easy to blow up on there.
Wow. How does that work for sales? I'm curious.
And then she said, I sold a lot on there, but I think you can't do basic stuff because laser stuff is a gimmick to people. Got it. So it's like, if you have like, which actually might kind of work for
you
Scott.
Could say my stuff is kind of gimmicky. It's actually based on gimmicks. It's so looking at some of those old gimmicks crafts.
There's a lot
looking
of
at some of those old gimmicks.
Yeah,
like X-ray glasses and all that kind of stuff, and analyze them and see if we can recreate that kind of stuff. So
yeah, honestly, I could see you generating a lot of interest on TikTok. Like, you know, what's funny is like for me, if I had the time to blow up my channel, because it's going to be more stream and community based. That's just basically what I'm doing. If I wanted it to blow up, what I should do, I did like this for like 2 seconds and then I just couldn't maintain it, is peruse through my live streams and find like key clips where we come up with like especially funny bits, like, because there's a lot of humor on in my live stream community. And so to have like just a YouTube short or even a TikTok short that like did say like the Victorian jet ski or something like that, like a bit that's been going on the channel, I think that would get a lot of audience. But
because
unfortunately I just don't have time.
I think for you, and it's cool how much you've been growing lately, especially because you know it's a really, what you're doing is a really hard sell, because they're here for you basically, and they're, you know, but I think if you can add these little clips and people are like, oh, that's kind of cool, I wouldn't mind being involved in that community, because it sounds kind of fun to be there, to hang out and stuff like that. So
yeah, because I think that's basically going to be the premise of my channel, is like, even though I'm not like a big channel, it's going to be fun to hang out and watch the streams live, and hopefully you'll get some art done, you know. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see, but that's kind of what.
Yeah, there's some cool news for people that are kind of just getting started or don't have a huge foothold in YouTube, is that they open monetization up to, I think, anyone with 500 followers instead of 1,000 or subscribers, which is cool. And then I'm sure there's some other watch time thing you got to meet too, but so I don't know how many followers Gary has, or he doesn't really seem to really care about that kind of stuff, but
yeah. Oh, by the way, Holly, I sent you a link in case you want to hop on. You don't have to, but I sent one. I think on Facebook. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like Gary's gonna. I don't know. Gary's been doing some really cool content lately too. All right, so you're gonna do live streams as an element of your thing, right?
Yeah, because the videos that I'm doing just take so long to create and edit. I can't do them once a week, and I'm hoping I can do them every other week. I've got 4 done, so that kind of puts me ahead. So my goal is that I can work on some other things. The only thing is that I'm going to be on vacation for like a week after I kind of launch one of my videos, so I won't have time to work on it. But
where are you guys heading?
We're going to Louisiana. We've got some friends there that we're going to stay with and stuff, which it's going to be fun, although it's going to be super humid. Like, obviously I'm from Arizona, so I can deal with heat, but I'm not too big on humidity. So
no, it's from a desert area. I can handle heat, but dry heat, like you can't, like even today is slightly humid and it's like 70s in the 70s in degrees. And I'm like, I can't stand this. Like, it's like, just because there's like a mild humidity in the air for California. It's like, it's so weird to me. Like, humidity is just a tough one to get used to, you know, for sure.
Yeah. But as far as the live stream thing, so my goal is to put out a video, an edited video, and then on the off week, every other week, and then the off weeks do a live stream that has something to do with that video, like either, because some of these things I kind of go through real quick, and some of them people may want me to slow down and show these steps or something a little more, and then, or just something that has to do with the previous video.
Yeah.
So I'll just let the cat out of the first video is about recreating like gross stickers, like Garbage Pail Kids and Wacky Packages and all that kind of stuff in my own style. I'll take something that everyone knows and I'll try to stay true to it, but I'll also do my own thing. I don't want to just make Garbage Pail Kids. I want to make my own gross stickers.
Yeah. So and you do really need to make those a product too, because like I want those stickers.
Yeah, I'll have limited,
especially after watching
limited editions on them.
Nice.
The other, and so the live stream after that will be me opening like classic wax packs of gross foods. Oh, Holly showed up.
Yeah, we got Holly here. How's it going?
Oh, damn.
How you doing?
Yeah, usually you don't show up on your live streams and stuff. So this is the first time we've seen you in a while.
Oh,
Seeing you
I
face to
couldn't
face.
figure out how to screen record it because it didn't show me initially. So I was like, oh dang.
Okay. Do you? I mean, if you want, like, I can take it off, but it's awesome to.
Oh,
like,
I don't care.
Okay, cool.
I was just like, oh man, I
She's
should
all had
probably.
at this. Come on, she's been doing this forever.
I know. That's
People
true.
think that I know how to do stuff, and then I'm like, hey, I'm geriatric. I don't know how to do anything.
Honestly, I think that's just like the nature of everything. Like people always assume like you have things figured, like just in general in life, people will assume people have things figured out way more than they do, you know?
Yeah. For a while, people would ask me like, how do you edit videos? I'm like, dude, for like the longest time, I put it in Movie Maker. Do not even ask me that.
Yeah.
Now I do Premiere, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
How long have you been using Premiere? Because I just started using it, and I'm basically I start editing, and then I'm like, oh, how do I do this? And I go find a 2-minute YouTube video. I'm like, okay, that's how you do it. And then I
been
keep doing that.
Premiere for like 3 years.
Okay.
But it's not like I do anything crazy. You just have to remember the keyboard shortcut cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then most of the effects, you can just like literally just type in what you think the effect will sound like, and then you will find it on the effects tab.
Oh, that's a good idea. I never thought about that.
So like anytime you're like, oh, hey, I need like an audio fade, you just type in audio fade and then there it is.
Awesome.
I don't know. I used to use Audition, but then Adobe just stopped letting me be able to use Audition anymore. And I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Probably
I was
my
using
computer sucks, but
I was using Power because I started off using like Windows Movie Maker just because it was so user friendly. And then I forgot what happened with. I think I needed something. There was something I had to do that it couldn't do because it's pretty basic. And then I found this program called Power Director, which is also very user friendly, but had a little more robust. So I was using that. And then I switched computers, and I would have had to buy a new license. I'm like, I'm paying for Creative Cloud. I might as well just learn Premiere and do. Plus, I was doing a course for this thing called DIY.org, a kids course for comics, and trying to work with them using that Power Director, and they're like, well, you got to do this color correction or this, and I couldn't do any of it. So, finally I switched over.
Hold on, I'm trying to share my screen now. I think I can do it. I've read things.
What's that big pizza back there?
I lasered out a big pizza shape, and then I didn't know what to do with it because
I love how it has anchovies on it.
That's badass. That's a very cool pizza.
I was gonna make it into a coffee table, but then I realized the wood is like way too thin for that. So now it's just a big useless piece of pizza. Okay, I think it's
fantastic to have a big useless piece of pizza. It reminds me of like the Rock Hall, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has all these like weird props from different concerts and stuff. So they'll have like, you know, like a giant hot dog, and it's like, oh, that's from like a Fish concert in like 19. It's like, that's pretty rad to walk into a building that has just a pointless giant hot dog, you know. It's kind of amazing.
I went to like a fancy like art high school where we did like a bunch of stage plays and stuff. Like every
is it one of those schools where it's like we don't do grades here?
It was close, but
nice.
Like I was in the visual arts department, obviously, but for the musical theater department, there was just like an auditorium size room of just props. And it's like some of them we'd have to just remake because this one was from the 80s. And it's just like, okay. But that room, if I could steal like half the stuff in there, I would, because it was just so, it's like, hey, do you want like a tube of paint that's the size of like your car?
Nice.
Well, it's in there. I don't know. I want like a Nickelodeon house full of little fun things.
I could get that. Did you guys ever? Well, I don't know, Scott. This might like be, I don't know, maybe like a generation gap thing. I wonder if you have this crossover too. But there was a show on Nickelodeon where the reward was like, you got to go to Toys R Us. Like,
was that like shopping spree or something?
Yeah,
like that,
they'd have like footage of this kid, like these kids. They give them like a minute and a shopping cart, and then like whatever they could fill their shopping cart with. And I remember as a kid just like being like, that is like I had my strategy in my head of like exactly
You get the cart, then
Yeah.
you just pull your arm, extend it, and then you just put everything that you can see in the cart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like when I was a kid, if we went to Toys R Us, I would be mapping out, like if I were on that show, like this is the aisle I would start on. Like, you just start.
Well, yeah, you got to scope out Toys R Us and find out what's the most expensive stuff, and you go straight to there. Most expensive and also small, like something like video games. So
and
you
your favorite aisle too, right? You'd want to make sure, like if you want Star Wars stuff, you better be on that Star Wars aisle when you start,
Yeah.
Like
I was not allowed in toy stores unless it was someone else's birthday to get them stuff. And I'm like, Mom, this sucks. And I always wanted Bratz dolls, which my mom was like, those are terrible. You're not allowed to have those. And like when I was a kid, I didn't understand this. And I was like, why? Now I look back, I'm like, they wore some skimpy stuff.
Yeah. I remember, and I did buy those for my daughter, and I remember looking at some of them like. And then she got into the Monster High, which I was a little more okay with because
those
were
are
monsters.
Cool. The proportions.
No, actually, she never did get. No, she never did get in. It wasn't Bratz. It was straight to Monster High. But even some of those outfits were kind of like.
Okay, I can't disclose much, but I'll just say, Scott, regarding one of the things you mentioned, I won't mention which one, but possibly the one you liked more. We do a lot of stuff for them at my day job, so I'll have to send you some pictures of stuff we did, like maybe for Comic-Con.
If you have any loose stuff, my daughter still recently got back into it, even though she's.
Cool. I'll see if I can get a sample of said thing that I can't.
Yeah, actually, I bought her one for Christmas because they kind of redid the style, so they're not quite as anorexic anymore.
Yeah, now they're like actual somewhat reasonable proportions.
Yeah,
yeah. I gotta say, there's some logos that we had to use too that are like incredible. Where it's like there's one that like you flip upside down and it does the Princess Bride type thing. Where like it reads the same backwards and forwards. Like if you flip it upside down,
like race car. I don't remember what those are called.
Which is funny because Chris Cawagua, like when we the last time we boothed at a con, the guy, like a friend of his, was like helping us watch our booth.
Palindrome. You're right. Yes.
A friend of his was helping us watch our booth, and he's like just this really humble, nice guy. And he kind of starts talking about, I'm like a creative director and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, that's cool. And then Chris is like, he's being really humble. He's the guy who did that Princess Bride DVD cover that like flips upside down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone I know loves that thing. So it was kind of a funny moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen it. I'll have to check that out.
It's pretty classic. It won a bunch of design awards and stuff. It was like a big deal in the, I don't know, like early 2000s or something. But it's funny. The guy was just like super humble, and he's like picked up almost every design award you can. And it's just like one of those funny moments. Yeah. Anyhow, interesting.
So Holly, you're doing the 100 Days of Making Comics again.
I am.
What day are you on?
I don't know. I literally have a date on my calendar, and that's the finish date, and then I just won't think about it till then.
Nice. That's very smart, actually, because I think if you're on like day 5 or something,
when you count down, it makes you a little like nervous, where you're like, oh, I'm never going to finish this.
Yeah.
Also, I'm doing it weekly because I asked people on my Discord. I was like, would you watch one video every day? And then I also thought about a live stream every day, and then people essentially said, I would literally unsubscribe from you if you kept doing that. And I was like, all right.
That's what I always tell people. I tell people if it's like your first go around, you should probably do an update, at least a small update every day. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you were just doing it anyway, even though you weren't officially taking the challenge, just drawing every day or,
I mean, I draw a lot, but then like working on the comic, like actually doing it is like, I'll get distracted and then I won't do it. So I like the fear of failure of not meeting a challenge. So
yeah,
that's basically it. Also, I get excited about these pages that people will read in like 0.5 seconds. So, the idea of like people seeing like, hey, this took me 3 hours to get shading on the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it is funny because it's like doing these live streams. I'm always like, who wants to watch like me think through a page for like an hour and a half?
I was watching yours the other day because I always watch them after the fact. And
okay.
Oh, I love looking at you thumbnail because sometimes I wonder how much of that is a uniform experience or not. Like you just sitting there and being like, okay, is this dumb to add this here?
Yeah, and a lot of it is like an hour of just going, I wonder if like, no, that wouldn't work because, and it's like the most boring shit like visually in the world because like again, like, you know, you're not showing the fun stuff. The fun stuff, the stuff people want to see is like the roughs that aren't really roughs, or like the final stuff. You know, the I don't know, the like kind of boring like infrastructure part is like, to me, I'm fascinated with, but I'm not sure how many people would care.
It's so annoying when I want to like talk about comics, then I'm like, hey guys, page layout, and then people just leave. They're leaving. They're gone.
They're like,
I'm like, that's all of comics though, is the page though.
Yeah,
that's all of it.
Did you get a lot of your followers that want to do the challenge?
I think I saw like one comment talk about it, and then I've had people talk about it in my live streams, but I don't know. I'm gonna keep linking Kevin's channel every time so that they can see the source material and decide if they want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't really know because I don't know. My channel is like nothing nowadays, but
I don't know. It seems like you got a lot of engaged people though.
I do for live streams. I should probably do like VODs, like you were talking about, like with uploading clips from live streams.
Yeah.
Because that's what Twitch people do. Yeah. I mean, and then like there's always off the rails stuff going on in my live streams. So I'm like, okay, well, that would be kind of funny. I don't know, but it's like 6 hours of footage I'd have to download and then edit.
That's the thing. I think you can do like the little live clips, like using the YouTube editor, you know? So in theory, it wouldn't take a long time. It's just having to peruse your live stream and rewatch it. That would be like, that's where you need to have the time.
Yeah, I did. I went through and made clips of my videos, and I know I think there's a way that with like some kind of AI that will kind of do this for you, but having to reframe everything so it fits within the you know, that kind of vertical format.
Yeah,
that's what took me a while, because there's so many cuts in my videos that every time there was a different cut, I have to find that and kind of move, you know, bump that over so it all fits in there.
Well, and also just sorting through the awesomeness, Scott, of your streams would be tough, you know, where it's just like, oh man, there's just so much awesome. I can't cut it. You know. Now I'm really jealous of your pizza. I want a giant pizza now.
Is it even showing my screen of drawing anymore? Like
no, all I'm seeing is the pizza. But I appreciate, like, I have grown in appreciation of that pizza.
It says, "Oh, do you want to share your screen?" And I said yes, and then it didn't do it. This whole time, I totally thought it was doing it.
Let's see. I might be able to. I don't know how that works,
because there's like a settings here, and it's like maybe I'm being very dumb. Virtual background, that's not it. Because I was just looking down this whole time like, oh yeah, you don't have to, because you can see what I'm doing.
I think I can move. Speaking of that,
let's see if I can try it.
Can I
this
move
is like this is like a bunch of boomers trying to figure out how to use which, by the way, I am 100% there. Like, a lot of my live streams, I'll be like trying to figure out what I'm doing, and then OBS. Oh, there we go.
There, is it going?
Add this.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's see. How do we add it as part of the? There's got to be
the layout. I don't know.
Let's see. Well, let's just add it, and then let's see. Okay, no, not full screen. There has to be
because there's
way.
3 people here. There's got to be a way to like put them all on the screen.
There has got to. Oh, you know what we'll do? Okay, here's what we'll do. This is where I'm being all boomery. Let's add this, because I can do.
My mom is a boomer, and she is better at stuff than I am, and I'm embarrassed about it.
I think I can do an edit where we add an item. Yeah. Okay. Haha. Media slot. I think that's what it would be called.
Media slot.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Look at that. This is the coolest part about streaming.
I don't see Holly's drawing though. Do you?
I do
No.
not.
I'm still setting it up.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like,
Don't worry. Bear with me.
All right.
this whole time I was like inking this, like, haha, cool. I don't have to like actually look up and stuff. It'd be
Okay. Let's see here. And then I think I just have to like move it. Let's see. Edit. There should be a way to get in there. Okay, so I'm just going to move it over there right next to you because that's as best as I can do right now. Is that okay?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Perfect.
All right.
Wait,
That is
thanks.
cool that you can do that now on StreamYard, though. That used to be like a close to impossible thing. Just kind of insane. So what are you working like? So you're working on the next book, or what's going on?
I'm working on Paranormal Plague, which is a comic I've had since like 4 years ago.
Yeah. I think you showed us some stuff from it.
And then
a
I
while ago.
like continue to drop it over and over again. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm literally never going to finish this if I keep doing that. So now I'm actually working on it.
Nice.
It's really weird though, because it's like because I've sketched these characters so many times, it's like I have like I could just drag and drop those sketches into the panels because I've done like 20 million poses of them. So it's like, oh hey, actually I already drew that like a long time ago.
Oh, that's cool.
So it is like a weird roundabout way of doing it, but now I'm getting up to the point where there's like really, really, really specific poses where I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna actually have to make an entire scene. Can't be lazy all the time.
Nice.
But
yeah, it is tough with it is good though to have like that library of references and stuff for your character though.
yeah, I mean, that's sort of like how I tricked myself into thinking I was working on it though, by sketching them all the time. And I'm like, that's really nothing though. A sketchbook it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's not a book. It's not a finished comic. So I'm trying to force myself to, like, if I'm sketching, make it purposeful.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's hard to well, I mean, because you've done a graphic novel before, so it's like do you feel like maybe like some of it might just be like, I don't want to do that nonsense again?
Sometimes it's like, I really don't want to have to. It's posting it, because right now I'm trying to make it so that it can also be posted on Webtoon. And so that means I have to cut up all of these pages and put them in phone format. And like, it's the technical stuff where I'm like, getting people to actually read it is like, I don't want to do that part. I just want to draw it. Everything else, like the posting it and the social media part is what's stressing me out.
Yeah, it's funny. We had an Artcasters like a day or so ago where we were talking about like, people's least favorite part of the process, and I think that's something we all related to, was like the one of the hardest, most annoying things is just having to tell people about it. Like, you want to be able to just do the work and just be like, yeah, here's some good work. Like, that's it, but like, yeah, having to post about stuff can be a real drag.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody tells me like put it on Webtoon, and I hate Webtoon. So I don't like reading stuff on my phone that's comics because it's hard to read. But I guess that's the point of converting it. But
yeah,
I think your stuff would do really good on Webtoon.
Yeah, there's a certain genre on there where I'm like, I don't know about that one, but
yeah, I mean, it seems at least when you go to the front. Yeah, well, when you go to the front page, it seems like everything. I know there's all kinds of there's a huge variety of comics on there, but everything when you go to the front page, it looks like a particular style. That's probably not what you're talking about in particular, but
a lot of it is like romance subgenre stuff, and I'm like, also I do it in black and white, which
yeah, that's true too. Yeah, which is weird because like pretty much most manga, which it looks like a lot of Webtoon is inspired by that, but pretty much that's why I don't know. Like, there's still that stigma around black and white with a lot of people, but with the popularity of manga and with most of it being black and white, I don't know why that still persists.
I also don't get it on Webtoon because, like, I'm not trying to be mean to their coloring. but I am.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it, there's no point in it being in color because it's not like a good use of color. Like a lot of them, it's like a pointlessly like bland coloring scheme, and I'm like, well, you could have just kept that in black and white and have the same effect.
Yeah, for sure. No, I can definitely relate to that. I will say though, like I do kind of think that on the web, like black and white is not as attractive as it is in print.
I get it digitally.
Like, to me, just even on my screen, like I love black and white art, but I'll admit to you, like when it comes to just digital, like it, color is more attractive, like on a tablet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also think like Webtoon skews younger people always want colored stuff. So although like
you do have elements of romance in your comics, like they aren't, sappy romance comics, but there still is like romance in your comics, Holly. I think they do okay.
Yeah, but usually like with stuff on Webtoon, it's like the love triangle of the century, and it's
it's like drama stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I really do that. I'm like, but you know what? Hey, I'll put it on there anyway. It just sucks because I have 64 pages I have to edit into a Webtoon style, which I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you reformatting everything because the printing size and like
yes.
Yeah, because I like Amazon just recently, like they changed their printing prices for like KDP and stuff like that, and I have a lot of books on KDP, so I had to go back and then like raise all my prices, which now it doesn't, because before it was like $6.99 and now it's some weird number like $7.67 or some weird thing like that. It just it's.
Did you see they offer hardcovers now?
I know. Yeah, I know they offer hardcovers.
Where do they offer hardcovers?
KDP.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
huh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I haven't tried them yet, but I'm curious about them.
I haven't seen that. My sister-in-law like wrote a novel that she did on KDP, and it's like she printed hardcover editions. They look good, but that's all text, so I have no idea what the actual art books would look like. But I bet they probably look fun.
Yeah, but what Holly had brought up was that the different sizes they raise prices more. Like some sizes it doesn't really matter. It didn't go up, and other sizes it did.
Yeah.
Like most of my coloring books are all 8.5 by 11, and those prices went like way up.
Really?
Yeah.
Just for the hardcover or for softcover?
No, for softcover, just regular coloring books.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because the printing, I mean, costs everywhere have gone up, but and I guess they hadn't really raised their prices yet, but still, it's like, it seems like it went up quite a bit.
Yeah, I was also like, I was setting up the formatting so it would work for KDP or like any other printing if I wanted to get it like printed offset if that would ever occur. Because if I format it for KDP, then it will work for all other ones, because KDP guidelines on like bleeds and stuff are like kind of strict. So like it would probably work for like all the other ones. But that's also what I was referring to. Like if you wanted to get them printed at like Mix'em or something.
Yeah.
The executive print size, it made me so mad. I was like, 7 by 10 really is the worst size for you to print a book. Because it was weird. Because like 8.5 by 11 was cheaper than 7 by 10. And I was like, what? That makes no sense.
I think you'd probably want to do like 6 by 9 if you're doing like a standard book, because then you're going to have costs come down again. Because I think that's a standard cut size. Whereas like when you start getting to like the kind of irregular cut sizes, like for books, it can be more expensive,
That's what I converted it to, because it was a 7 by 10 before. And I was like, okay, that's actually a fairly decent, easy way to aspect ratio it. But
yeah, like a closer approximation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough though. Like, like that's actually something to keep in mind for anybody like watching who hasn't done comics. Like, make sure you're formatting to a standard size. Because the second you start getting to off sizes or side binding, where you're doing the horizontal book, again, you can do anything in print, but your cost of printing just goes substantially higher, depending on what the format is.
Yeah,
I've always liked the idea of like square format comics. I think Coin Op did a couple of those, but
Square is really cool because then it's
I don't know
also
if they
good for
offer
social
that.
media if you
Yeah,
wanted to post it.
that.
Yeah.
Because my making comics series, that one's all 8.5 by 11. No, I mean 8 by 10, and then my making manga, which is kind of the same thing, is just basically a 6 by 9. That I don't think the prices really went up that much on the 6 by 9, if I'm correct. I'm trying to remember.
I think 6 by 9 on KDP is their standard. Which is weird because I went to a bookstore and I literally got out a caliper and everything. I was like, what is the actual standard for most things? And
I don't think there is in books.
For most of the novellas, it's like 5.25 by 6.25.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit off of 6 by 9. Like
6 by 9 is actually pretty big. So that's why I was like,
is.
okay, it's actually pretty good for a comic because it's a reasonable size. But for like a printed text kind of book, I don't know. That's what I printed Purgatory at, was the 5.25 at the 6.25. It looks kind of like a manga size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because when you look it up online, they're like, oh, 6 by 9 is the standard. And then you go to the store and it's like, no, it's not.
Let me see what my, I'm forgetting what size this is. So the book I'm working on right now, if you took away the bleed, it's about 7 by 10. It's close to that, but it's not quite. It's a little bit weirder too, where it's like 6 point something.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the math for it and then just kind of set it up and was like, okay, I've forgotten about it already.
I thought about putting Paranormal Plague at like the standard American size for comics, and I was like, this format size is absurd. It's like 6.69 by.
That's a weird size. And I've been doing comics forever and like teaching people to make comics. I still don't know offhand what size American is.
It's like
so weird.
6 by 10 with like some decimals in there.
Yeah, and like some of those sizes, like that one, I think probably had to do with newsprint at the time and like what could be cut. So like at the cheapest cost, where you get the most out of a giant sheet of paper. But it's like, yeah, it's a weird size. It's like, it's one of the weirdest sizes, and it's not conducive to all books, you know? I do feel like people doing comics should consider other formats for sure, for like printing sizes, just, you know, standard formats. But
I think people don't do it because setting up a template sometimes sucks. But I'm like, it's really not that hard once you like just read well, I guess if you don't know InDesign, that would kind of suck.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But honestly, formatting is like not as mysterious as people think it is. It's like
you can download templates though. Like you could literally like just go on Etsy and be like, I need this book, and then you just download the template that somebody made already. So I don't know. I guess there really is no excuse for a weird size if you wanted one.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like a lot of it's just basic measurement, where it's like when you look up templates, all they are is just basically like a vector ruled line of like, you know, of the different sizes. And it's like, you can make a template. It's just, you make your size and then you make boxes that fit within. It's not like, I don't know. It's not as rocket sciencey as people think, but for people like me who hate math, then it is kind of annoying. Like it takes me an obnoxiously long time to add 0.125 to like all three sides, but not the middle side when I'm doing a single
because the gutter, and then you're like, oh, this sucks, because I forget what gutter means sometimes, and I'm like, oh yeah, the middle. Yeah. I always forget basic stuff where it's like, oh hey, when I'm making stuff, turn on that freaking grid, stupid, so you actually get it centered. Yeah. I've done that so many times, and I'm like, you do graphic design. Why are you doing this?
It is hard to like to remember to keep our design principles when we're doing comics, you know?
Yeah. It's like I'll make logos for people, and then it all turns off when I do other stuff.
No, I totally get that. I relate to that a lot because it is like a different part of the brain a little bit that's focused on these comic things, but then at the same time it's kind of the same. So it is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I am gonna have to call it at once I kind of place this crazy poster.
because I do have to like go and drive and meet Jim Lujan and Paul Pate and tell him to put on pants. That's a big thing because Paul does not like wearing pants.
Okay.
How did that get started?
I think that started on Christopher Runciman's stream. I think him and Dee Dee had a joke about Paul's nickname being Pantsless Paul, and then poor Paul has just never lived it down. So let's see here.
Well, now he has to live up to his nickname.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's true. He's just going to show up and be like, you guys started this. You started this train. Yeah, I think that'll work for like a Bosco poster. It'll be more fun to get into like a more Victorian vibe of that a little bit, but I think that'll work.
Yeah, I think Gary's doing a stream today, so I might hop over there if he's doing his.
Oh, when does Gary's stream start? Did it already start?
Maybe. I think he usually starts around 11. I don't know.
Okay, I feel like a monster if I've overlapped Gary's stream. I feel like I try really hard not to cross streams with people, you guys.
People aren't used to you streaming this early.
I know.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, that's weird. It's not 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, or like 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's one of the downsides. Yeah.
Because you're in like California time, right?
Yeah.
So you're an hour ahead of me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every time you stream, I'm like, oh, it's earlier there.
Yeah.
I think.
But I stream at weird times for California, to be fair. So it's like, I don't stream at the most convenient times.
Yeah.
I'm like that weird, cool indie band you guys have to know about to like hear the albums because like they're showing up at weird ass times.
Yeah. I get people at my streams that are like, I work a day job. Can you stop streaming at like 3 a.m., please? I'm like, no.
They're like, it's my ship. I can steer wherever the hell I want.
It's this or nothing.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of there where it's like the odd times I'm doing it at, that's when I can do them, you know. But it is fun to do daytime ones. I would probably be streaming all day, except I have to now drive to Huntington Beach. Sadly, it's going to be a sacrifice, you guys, but I have to go meet up with Mr. Jim Lujan and Paul Pate and hang out.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
I don't know half the time when you're joking about stuff, so I'm like, yeah, sure.
No, he's actually going to hang out, but I'm pretty sure Paul will be wearing pants.
Yeah,
oh, good.
Yeah, the pants thing was not a non-joke, but that actually is a fair point. I have a pretty dry sense of humor, so I could probably throw people off when they're like taking me seriously, and then we're like, wait a minute.
When it comes to like, I'm going to this place, I'm like, are you, or are you just logging off? Yeah. But
I am actually heading to HB. I think there's talk of us checking out a couple places that should be fun. So, yeah. And I used to live in Huntington, so it'll be fun to hopefully, maybe I can convince, if they haven't gone yet, I need to try to convince Paul and convince them to Paul and Jim to check out TK Burger, which is like one of the best hamburger joints on the planet. So, anyhow. Well, thanks guys for hopping on. Holly, like, not like people need to be referred to your, YouTube, but if where can people check out your YouTubes and streams and stuff? I'm sure most people watching me are subscribed to you already, but
I think it's Holly Brown on YouTube.
Nice.
You think I would know? I don't know.
It's always hard to remember. Yeah,
because I don't remember what the URL is, but yeah, I think if you look that up, you'll find it.
Yeah, if you guys search for Holly Brown, you'll get her.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. And then you'll find all my stuff through there because I have everything linked.
Nice.
Don't click on any of the cancel Holly Brown videos that are out there.
I mean, you can have fun.
if you wanna figure out who douchebags are online, then you can at least look at who's posting those and just unsubscribe from those folks.
If you look at them, at least send them my way so I can also look at them.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys should be following Holly. She does a lot of really cool live streams where she's working on comics or in her sketchbooks and working on really cool like crafts and stuff like with laser cutters and just all sorts of fun, awesome creative things. So, and also, Holly, that is cool that you're doing the 100 days. I'm excited about that. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, hoping that 100 days, maybe we get some more people interested in it.
Yeah. I've been trying to find comic people, and it's been a nightmare to find anybody to watch that I haven't already watched.
Yeah. It is kind of a weird thing because, I think I mentioned this a couple days ago too, where it's like one of the hard things about the comics community, and one of the things I like about, even though we're a small community, the Artcasters kind of extended family or whatever, is like, it's hard to find groups of cartoonists that aren't like the most toxic pile of garbage on the planet, or if not that, then like a lot of them will be like kind of like more just like not really doing indie comics. And so it's hard to find like people who are doing indie comics that are not just like cutthroat, like everybody's at each other's throats. And so like I like our tiny group of cartoonists that we have because like I don't see a lot of like toxicity in it. I've joked that like I'm probably the most toxic of our community, which is hilarious because I'm not super like racy or anything.
You're not toxic. You're like philosophical art guy.
Yeah, I'm like weird guy.
Yeah.
But anyhow, like, so I do like our little crew of cartoonists, and I hope that expands through, like, I hope I'm with you on that, Holly, where it would be fun to see more cartoonists, like, that are just doing cartooning and not being, like,
Let's own the libs by making my comic. If I see more of those, I'm going to lose my mind.
I still think it would be hilarious to do like a parody, like a satire YouTube channel where you're just like going through how everything's woke. You're just like, this coffee mug is woke.
I think,
and then break the mug.
I don't think people would pick up on the satire. I think
they wouldn't. They would
be legit.
They would literally be like, this leftist ideology.
I know.
I don't think I could like hide it very well that I'm joking though.
No, I don't think I could either. I think it would show, or just the satire would be so like I would be so insulting to that community in the satire that it wouldn't be full satire. They'd just be like, oh, this is not funny.
I think I know a few of their talking points, but it's also sort of like, it would just be me repeating somebody else, so it wouldn't be a good satire.
Although if you guys watching want to own the libs, hit that like button before I leave. Just that'll own the libs, okay? Hit subscribe to own the libs, and I don't know. Yeah. Anyhow, what else can we say about owning the libs? Anyhow, I'm gonna go own the libs in Huntington. I think that's check out Holly's channel. And then Scott, where can everybody own the libs?
Yeah.
How do they own the libs?
Depending on your personal political preference, if you go to my YouTube channel, if you want to own the libs, if you watch that video, you will. And if you don't, you watch the video, you won't. But,
exactly.
SJWs are gonna hate that one.
I love it. Scott, you guys should actually be following Scott's stuff because he has like some really cool new videos coming out, and they're really exciting. They're very very well edited, and I don't know, it's very exciting and fun, and I think it'll be cool to see. So make sure you guys are following Scott. Make sure you're following Holly. Thanks for coming on the stream, guys. Thanks to everybody in the chats. It was a lot of fun this morning. And I will probably be seeing you guys later tonight. So, I'll see you guys then. And that'll do it. Goodbye.
Later, everyone.
Bye.